inside of me. You better watch out if your enemy's a road ahead of full prophecy. To be the greatest beast the world has ever seen. I feed him every day like the bones clean. I feed him all the hate and he grows me. And he gets claws real big, gets off quick. And if you cross him, you might drop dead. Metaphorically, of course, settling the score. Never getting bored, loves of blood and gold. Always wanting more, freedom from the source. They don't really understand until they feel the force of party. And if you start shit, you be heartless in the darkness. Torn apart quick, you let scars rip. You be chewed up and discarded.
And this world ain't right, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. When there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. When there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. dreams. I push a mind to a limit where it needs to be. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop.
Hello and welcome to my Mind Over Your Matter. My name is Rick, and happy Friday. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Upside Down. It's official. We're living in the Upside Down. Prove me wrong. I'll give you $100. Prove me wrong. I believe we're living in the Upside Down. Ever since I died and came back, everything's been upside fucking down. Everything's been going crazy. I mean, I don't even know. I don't know what's going on in this world. It's just like I think something really, really big is going to happen that is going to be all out, and there's going to be millions of people dying. Maybe this year. That's wild. Like it could happen any minute now. It could happen. It's sad, but death is a part of life. We live to die, and then we die to live, and the good is bad and the bad is good. I don't understand why everything is so in reverse and upside down. I'm so confused, but hey, I'm alive. I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, and that's broadcasting this show on a daily basis. I try to do it Monday through Friday, try to take the weekends off because I do need to recuperate, especially this weekend. I will be taking it off unless something truly big happens, which is bound to happen. I hope it doesn't happen tomorrow because I will be watching the Royal Rumble. And that, I believe, it starts at around 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So I will be watching that. And we'll see what happens. If things go crazy during the evening time, maybe I'll come back on. If not, I would like to relax. Other than that, let's go ahead and start the show. We got some stuff to watch. Talking about death and talking about a horrible day. Catherine O'Hara, which she is the actress from Beetlejuice. She's the mother on Beetlejuice. She's Home Alone, the mother of Kevin McAllister in Home Alone. Has passed away today at the age of 71. It's a real shock to me because she's one of my favorite actresses, and the fact that she just out of the blue is not here with us, it seems to me that Jesus is calling on his to come back home, and it's so sad that I wish that she was still here because I would have loved to see another Beetlejuice movie with her. But it kind of makes sense if you watch the movie Beetlejuice. She does die in that movie, and she goes to the underworld, and she meets up with her husband who also had passed, like he passed away, and it's just wow. It's just what a weird time I'm living in. I just don't get it. But let's go ahead and see some of the news on about this unfortunate death. So sad.
Exclusive. Catherine O'Hara has died. And so we do know that TMZ is now reporting that the actress, who's famous for her work in Schitt's Creek, Home Alone, and Best in Show,
And
is
Beetlejuice.
dead. This is, of course, the latest news that has just come out to
Beetlejuice,
us,
Beetlejuice,
saying that the
Beetlejuice.
legendary actress died Friday, according to two sources with direct knowledge talking to TMZ, saying that the cause of death at this point is currently unclear.
Wow.
Catherine, though, famously played Macaulay Culkin's mother in the first two Home Alone movies. She also appeared as Moira Rose in 80 episodes of Schitt's Creek as well. Other notable
That's
movie
right.
credits include a couple
Great
of
show
documentaries
too.
in the 2000s Best in Show and 2003's A Mighty Wind, as well as Beetlejuice, and the original movie Beetlejuice. Catherine's
Damn,
most
she was supposed
recent
to be a
work, though,
part of
came
Beetlejuice,
opposite of
Beetlejuice,
Seth Rogen
Beetlejuice, and
in
she's
the
not.
Apple TV series called The Studio. She did earn an
Sucks,
Emmy
man.
nomination for her work. And
All
so
these good
lastly, we do
actresses,
know
like
that she
she's a
won
good
an Emmy
actress.
Award back in 2020 as well. This was a follow-up to her win all the way back in 1982 for writing contributions to the sketch TV comedy series SCTV Network 90. And so once again, this is the latest there from TMZ that the legendary actress has died, Catherine O'Hara. She was born and raised in Toronto as the sixth of 7 children. She met her husband, production designer Bo Welch, on the set of 1988's Beetlejuice. They got married in 1992 and had 2 sons, Matthew and Luke. And so we'll continue to keep you updated with the very latest. She died at the age of 71. Again, the cause of death is currently unclear, but this is an exclusive from TMZ just coming down. Want to make sure we were able to bring all of that to you on Live Now from Fox. If any other updates come in, we'll make sure to share them on air.
That's sad. Let's keep it moving.
All right, other top stories that we are following for you. Former CNN anchor and reporter Don Lemon is facing federal criminal charges for his alleged involvement in a protest at a Minnesota church earlier this month. It was all on a live stream, and he was arrested. And we want to bring you always the very latest here on Live Now from Fox. So let's bring in TMZ's Michael Babcock joining us here with the latest. And Michael, this was a big one that maybe many saw coming. They were just waiting for when.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it, and an accurate way to put it. Obviously, the Department of Justice was clearly wanted to charge Don Lemon, went to a couple of local judges, and warrants were not signed off on, but nonetheless ultimately goes before a grand jury. And as people may have heard, oftentimes not the most difficult thing in the world to get a indictment when going in front of a grand jury. And that's exactly what they got. And because of that, as he was in Los Angeles, Mike, to cover the Grammy Awards, which obviously going down this weekend, Don Lemon was arrested last night and has now become the most talked about and polarizing story in the country.
Cares about
no doubt about that. And I'm putting out a thought there.
Why is he so attention hungry?
I'm sure they're going to be saying a lot about him during the speeches.
I think that's a very wise point to make, Mike. You know how these events, and look, that's why the downfall in many people's mind of these award shows is that they have become far too political, and you've got these stars who people may enjoy their music or their movies, not necessarily wanting to hear their political take, but obviously that's oftentimes what happens during these acceptance speeches. I think we are absolutely going to see a lot of people bring up Don Lemon, probably a lot of people.
I don't know why.
Operations.
He busts us into the church, and now he's the good guy.
Depending on your perspective, that's just the way that the award show is going to go off on Sunday.
Yeah, no doubt. So, okay, what do we know now? What's coming up for Don? I'm sure there's a lot of people clamoring, a lot of different media outlets trying to get that first interview. Is he going to do a live stream? What do we know about Don Lemon? I know he put out a statement, but what about anything on video?
Shit about Don Lemon.
Not yet. I am sure, though, because he does have his show, which is an online show, a digital show. Like we've seen many people go in that direction, and not necessarily working for a network anymore, but have their own show that they operate. And I think obviously Don's going to likely want to drive people there, and he will get a massive bump.
This is all propaganda bullshit, man. How is he going to get all this attention
I think
for doing something negative?
That Don Lemon at the end of the day,
it makes zero sense.
Not perhaps upset that all this has happened because it's gotten him a tremendous amount of attention. It'll be really interesting to see when we actually do hear and see him on video for the first time and hear his account of what happened. But look, the government's made it clear. They are not viewing him in this context as a journalist who was covering a story. They're viewing him as a protester who took part in this event, and that is why they have said they have charged him. The debate rages on.
Yeah, we will definitely see what the next reactions will be from Don. We appreciate it as always. Michael, thanks so much for joining us on Live Now from Fox, and you have a great weekend.
All he wants is fucking attention. That's all he fucking wants. Attention. He's an attention whore. Let's keep it moving. Let's put the volume up on this one.
We want to take you to Los Angeles, where journalist Don Lemon spoke moments ago after being granted bond. and that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work.
It does not protect you from going to a church and doing whatever the fuck you were doing there.
What I do.
Yeah,
I stand with all of them, and I will not be silent.
Oh, you're a fucking idiot.
I look forward to my day in court. Thank you all.
Yeah, we look forward to it too, and I hope you get your 5 years in jail and they clap your ass in jail because you're gonna love it
CBS
anyways.
News legal contributor Jessica Levinson joins me now. Jessica, never a dull day. Let's talk about the protections here of the First Amendment.
I'm tired of this world already.
Because we've got freedom of the press and we've got
tired of
freedom
it.
of
It's
religion.
just
So how
stupid.
should
Every
we think
fucking
about
day it's
this
the same
case?
shit.
This is a great question. So the first thing to remember is that the First Amendment, whether or not it be the freedom of press, freedom of speech,
Yo,
freedom of
what's up,
religion,
Terry?
protects
What's
us
up,
against
Chloe?
the
And
government.
what's up,
So
Albie?
on the one hand, we have Don Lemon, who I think is going to make a First Amendment argument here that this
First
case,
Amendment
in fact,
argument. How is that a
infringes
First
on
Amendment
his right,
argument
not
if you're
just
going
as
to a
member of
church
the
and you're
press,
disrupting
but
services?
as somebody who's protected under the freedom of speech.
You're
The
not
idea that the
protected
government
if you're going
should
to a church
target
and you're
you
disrupting their
because they don't like
services.
who
No,
you
you're not
are,
going to
what
go
you're
into the church
saying,
and then
what
start
your
an interview.
viewpoint is.
Oh yeah, let me
On the
do an
other
interview
hand,
right
when
in
it
the
comes
middle of
to
your
the
services.
freedom of
That's
religion, we
not freedom
have
of
a
speech.
statute that's based on the idea that people shouldn't interfere with other people's worshipers' constitutional rights to worship as they see fit. And in fact, the statute
Lemon's
talks
gonna
about
lose this one.
preventing people's
He's gonna
access
see
into a place
some
of
jail
worship.
time. I hope.
So what we have
I hope it's
here
a lot of
are
time.
allegations that there are people, including Don Lemon, who are engaging in a conspiracy. The complaint details all of these overt acts that allegedly Don Lemon and others took to prevent people from being able to go into a house of worship. And then we have Don Lemon, as you said, on the other hand, saying, but my First Amendment rights will be trampled on if the government goes ahead with this prosecution.
Could this set a precedent in essentially treating journalists like protesters?
So a couple of things. I think it could set a precedent in terms of whether or not journalists think twice before they cover events. It could set a chilling precedent for everyone who is protected by the First Amendment in gaining access to information, gathering information, disseminating information. I do think that there tends to be some confusion about whether or not members of the press are entitled to additional protections. And I think that really what we're talking about is, does Don Lemon get the same protection as anybody else who's entitled to the freedom of speech? Here, I don't know that it actually makes that much of a difference if he's a member of the press. The question is what he's doing. Is it a protected activity?
Okay, Jessica Levinson, we'll be calling on you again on this. Fascinating. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, fellow journalists, as well as civil rights and free press advocates, are reacting to Don Lemon's arrest. His former network, CNN, released a statement expressing concern about press freedoms, saying, quote, "The First Amendment in the United States protects journalists who bear witness to news and events as they unfold." The state goes on to say, quote, "The DOJ's attempts to violate those rights is unacceptable." The NAACP also released a statement in support of Lemon and others arrested in connection with the church protests, calling this a, quote, blatant assault on the First Amendment. The organization's president warned, quote, "If Donald Trump doesn't like what you're saying or doing, he will weaponize the federal government to come after you." The Reporters Committee for the Freedom of the Press also called it unprecedented for the Justice Department to deploy federal laws against journalistic
interrupted
activity.
a church services. So no, you're not protected, you asshole. Like, I'm tired of this shit, man. It's like every fucking day. We don't learn. We make the same fucking mistakes and we don't learn. Every day is the same shit. I wake up and the same bullshit. It just makes me mad. It makes me so mad because it's like we are not learning. We're just not fucking learning. We keep making mistakes. And then the Lemonhead, he sabotages the church, and then that's good. And then he has CNN backing him. Oh, the freedom of press. Bitch, you fired him. He's not part of the press. He's independent. That's not press. The only thing he was doing was for himself and for his little organization that he represents, Black Lives Matter. But no, they want to change the narrative. They want it to be in their favor. And that's all they want to do is protect their own. They don't want to do nothing else but protect their own. I think it's fucking full of shit. It's full of shit. And I'm getting super tired of it because it's like we never fucking learn. Oh my God. It boils my blood. It boils my blood because it's like every day we're feeding this stupid narrative every fucking day. Every day. I do this every day, and every day it's the same shit. It's like something tells me to cover this, and it's because it's the same fucking like it's like it's useless even to talk about it. It's just doesn't make sense. This is keep it moving. Who's the hell's this stupid lady? Oh my God, Jane Fonda. Girl, you look horrible, girl. What happened? Oh, I will fire your surgeon. Oh, I will fire your plastic surgeon. Who is your plastic surgeon? You need to fire them. You need to fire them. Let's check this out. Who's holding her up? She can't walk by herself? She has to be held? Are you kidding me?
Right here.
That's her handler? Oh, of course, all the cameras going to be focused on this idiot.
I know Don Lemon. My husband created CNN, and I will fight for their right to speak.
You fired him. What are you talking about?
They arrested the wrong guy.
Yo, what's up, Kayla? How you doing?
Thank you very much.
Hey, Fonda. My husband created CNN. Well, your husband fired Don Lemon. So why are you feeling so about him? You fired him.
Don Lemon is a professional journalist. He and his producer were doing
bring the
their
rainbow
job.
flags. What
Nothing
else?
more, nothing
look how
less.
they printed all this stuff.
And he's been arrested.
What?
And they'll make up
I don't know
all
what
kinds of defamatory things to say about him. That's what they're doing. This is how autocrats
Well, they have
act.
a lot of signs. Look at this.
We
Look.
can't fall for
Look how
it.
she's passing out.
We
Look
have
at
to
those on the
speak
left.
up.
The girl's passing out.
When
all
a
these
red line
signs.
is crossed like this, we cannot be
Oh,
silent.
man, this is bullshit.
And I want.
Thanks, Johnny. Oh, and walk. Look at this. Fucking close to her shirt. Out of her and to say,
my husband created CNN, and I'm going to protect the journalism, protect all journalism, but we fired him. But we're still going to protect him because he worked for us, so he's still under our umbrella, even though he's fired. I don't understand why he's protected for freedom of press, but he's not part of the press because he was fired by CNN. Help me make this make sense. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Man. If you feel my energy, just hit a like, subscribe, and just comment as much as you want. We're gonna keep it moving forward now with Jason A. Because we need some Jason A in our lives. Because I cannot deal with the bullshit. Fucking.
Tested plans for post-war Gaza. As President Trump formally inaugurated his so-called Board of Peace at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, Thursday, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, presented his vision of turning Gaza into an upscale, futuristic seaside resort with gleaming skyscrapers and entirely new cities.
And today,
I don't think they
Jennifer
need
and
that.
I had a chance to go see the Western Wall of the Temple Mount, the Western Wall tunnels.
I want the world to blow up.
So much of the old city.
More and more.
And as you stand there, you can't help but behold the miracle before you. And it got me thinking about another miracle that I hope all of you don't see too far away. Because 1917 was a miracle. 1948 was a miracle. 1967 was a miracle. 2017, the declaration of Jerusalem as the capital was a miracle. And there's no reason why the miracle of the reestablishment of the temple on the Temple Mount is not possible.
I'm telling you, we're doomed. And I think Israel is going to take it.
I don't know how it would happen. You don't know how it would happen, but I know that it could happen.
They're taking us down the rabbit hole.
That's all I have.
We're falling too far deep.
And a step in that process, a step in every process, is the recognition that facts and activities on the ground truly matter.
Days coming up.
And that's why going and visiting Judea and Samaria, understanding that sovereignty, the very sovereignty of Israeli soil, Israeli cities, locations, is a critical next step to showing the world that this is the land for Jews and the land of Israel. And I believe, as was mentioned, he said you need to, what was mentioned is you need to buy the ticket. Don't just wish for 40 years to win the lottery, buy the ticket. I would submit to you, in light of the support you have in Washington, D.C., the support you have amongst patriotic Americans, amongst evangelical Christians, amongst believers, amongst Republicans, even amongst some Democrats who can barely say it anymore in Washington, buy the ticket, take your action, do what needs to be done here in Israel, because I truly believe this is a moment where America will have your back.
What happened yesterday in Davos, Switzerland,
mixing
President
up with Israel
Trump,
and then
surrounded
thinking that
by
they're
many
almighty is a
autocrats
big
of the
mistake.
world, signing on to a charter agreement for the so-called Board of Peace, which Trump will lead even beyond his presidency, lead indefinitely. He personally has veto power and is in charge of the money, apparently $1 billion a seat for those who will be part of this Board of Peace. If you can respond to that and then lay out what you've learned from leaked documents.
Right. Well, it's $1 billion to have a permanent seat. People who signed up get 3 years. But you know, if we look at the charter of the Board of Peace, there's no mention of Palestine. There's no mention of Palestinians. There's no mention of Gaza. There's no mention of the right of return. There's no mention of the right to self-determination. What it does say is that, you know, Trump is chairman for life, and it gives him these, you know, king-like powers where he can only be replaced if he resigns. Or if he is deemed incapacitated but it needs to be a unanimous vote that is, you know, it's kind of unattainable. He can appoint new member states. He can veto any decision. And so you have this Board of Peace. You have what's called the Founding Executive Board underneath that has people like Jared Kushner, Marco Rubio, and others on it. And then you have something under that called the Gaza Executive Board, which is made up of Palestinian technocrats that are supposed to implement these policies. So this is almost a farcical manifestation of colonialism in the 21st century. It's kind of like a parody of a colonial body. You know, if you had proposed this a few years ago, you would have been laughed out of the room, except that now it's actually real. And at the event yesterday, you played a clip of it, Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, you know, delivered this presentation of what he called the master plan for Gaza's redevelopment and reconstruction. And yeah, you saw these kind of, you know, these renderings of high coastal towers and mixed zones and so forth. It looked like an AI fantasy. And let me just say, one of the slides in the presentation included Arabic script incorrectly written in reverse. So from left to right, Arabic script is written from right to left, and with the letters disconnected. So, I mean, you know, it's hard to take these people seriously. I mean, they're buffoonish. But the problem is that they control the largest military and economy in the world. But what we actually, you know, when he talks about residential zones and the future of Gaza, we actually now have a glimpse of what is actually being planned. And it is extremely frightening. It's very Orwellian.
And I think that Kushner and others are right to present this vision and to hopefully get Arab states to buy in, some of the funders. I'm thinking here about Saudi Arabia primarily, maybe the UAE, maybe Kuwait, maybe Qatar, although again, I'm not particularly sanguine about their participation given what they've done in the past. But trying to get a vision for a prosperous Gaza embedded into the minds of the donors and the sponsors of whatever comes in phase 2 or beyond, that seems smart to me. Feasible? That's another question. But hey, dream big.
Aimed at securing a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. That ceasefire has been in place since the 10th of October 2025. Earlier this week, the United States unveiled plans for a new Gaza, proposing a complete reconstruction of the territory with residential towers, data centers, and seaside resorts. Mind you, this is not the first time such a plan is being proposed. Trump had teased a plan like this long back during on a post in social media. US officials briefing reporters said the administration is in fact working very closely with Israel to recover the body of the last remaining hostage still held, the body of whom is still held in Gaza, Ran Gvili. Talks also included efforts to demilitarize Gaza and lay the groundwork for long-term peace. Israel's Prime Minister's office confirmed this meeting, saying discussions focused on the second phase of the Gaza ceasefire, which is yet to begin, without providing any further details. Meanwhile, the head of a US-backed transitional Palestinian committee set to temporarily administer Gaza, Ali Shad, said the Rafah border crossing, which is Gaza's primary gateway for more than 2 million residents, it is expected to reopen within this week, the week to come, that is. And in Israel, crowds gathered in Tel Aviv on Saturday night for the weekly protests against Prime Minister Netanyahu's government. An Israeli army reservist addressing the rally questioned the purpose of the ongoing sacrifices.
I have served more than 170 days in reserve duty, and I am married to a soldier who has served more than 350 days. What drives me crazy is not just the anxiety and the personal cost we have paid over the past 2.5 years, like many others. What really infuriates me is the question of why. For the survival of a government focused on power, honor, and money, whose office is preoccupied with infidelity scandals.
Protesters also renewed demands for an independent state commission of inquiry into the events of October 7th, 2023.
We are keep protesting against the regime coup that unfortunately started 3 years ago. You know, the government want to turn Israel from liberal democracy into fascist country, and we are here, and we will keep be here, you know, till we will win this fight. And also we are demanding that the government will establish a national inquiry committee to inquire the affair.
Thank you, Jason A. Great upload on this one. Let's move on to another Jason A. video.
Mysterious Dorito-shaped aircraft was spotted flying at night over Area 51. But we have the man who spotted it.
I'm often asked, are there aliens among us?
Motherfucker.
And I'll say that I am one.
Or you're from the future.
They don't believe me.
Okay.
But I think if anyone would know if there are aliens among us, it would be me.
You're an alien.
And we have 9,000 satellites up there, and not once have we had to maneuver around an alien spaceship. So I'm like, I don't know. Bottom line is, I think we need to assume that life and consciousness is extremely rare, and it might only be us. And if that's the case, then we need to do everything possible to ensure that the light of consciousness is not extinguished.
But yeah, I would say that this is pretty unique, and it actually lines up with some reports that I've received from viewers of equilateral triangle-shaped aircraft flying over the Mojave Desert. So I've been kind of doing a little bit of an investigation, trying to verify some of those reports.
And some of the cases that are in these Thread 3 documents are absolutely stunning, just crazy, where people are frozen right in place, can't move by flying saucers. They had crashes, they had landings, they had materials that they wanted to study in order to achieve superiority over the Americans. That was the Gold Up program. That was, a long time ago, long before we started doing that.
And these are UFO appearances that nobody has heard about before, right, other than we're in the documents, and we don't have enough time here to talk about them fully, or on a TV newscast.
Russian cosmonauts, the first few cosmonauts that went up had encounters in outer space, and the Russian government didn't want them to talk about it, but years later they did. Like our astronauts have seen stuff up there, and we don't really, our government doesn't really want them to talk about it either.
Well, this came from a declassified Ministry of Defense file, and I was actually one of the people involved in some of this documentation. And we didn't know any of this was extraterrestrial for sure, but we said, just to cover our bases, look, if it is, we could use that technology, because obviously we would want something like that.
So, Anders, if the sighting is from a terrestrial aircraft, what are the possibilities? I mean, the universe is a pretty big place.
Yeah, I mean, the particular aircraft that I filmed, I firmly believe it to be, an advanced classified military aircraft. You can tell by the fact that it leaves a contrail that it's not necessarily using one of these exotic propulsion methods that you might think of. Now, that said, I do firmly believe it is, something classified, and that could potentially relate to some of these programs involving, reverse engineering and things like that we hear about.
This is a big deal here. The Russian docs from 2 trips that you made to Russia are going to be revealed on our website. We're going to have more details here in the show. But you made 2 trips, testified before Congress about it. We'll get to some of that testimony in a moment. 93 and 96. How did those trips come about? What made you want to go there? And how did it happen?
I was curious about Russia. It was a tumultuous time for them. The Berlin Wall fell. Gorbachev quit. Yeltsin was elected. They were experimenting with democracy and capitalism, glasnost, perestroika. And I was wondering, well, look, the Russians were a superpower. The USSR was a superpower. They probably had to have their own UFO studies. I'd heard bits and pieces. I wonder how I could get it. Well, I had no Russian contacts, no way to get in. I'd seen an article in the New York Times about the KGB releasing its files on Oswald. And I thought, geez, if we could get into the Russian files, we would learn more about what the American government knows from the Russians than we'd ever learn from the American government itself. And I met this Russian physicist with help from Congressman Jim Bilbray. He was in our country to lecture about nuclear disarmament. He had great contacts. He'd been the national security advisor to Yeltsin and to the Russian parliament, trained Russian cosmonauts. And I met with him, had a couple of beers, asked if he knew anybody who knew about UFOs. He promised to give it a try. 8 months later, he'd worked up some sources who had never spoken to media, Russian or American, ever about UFOs, and they agreed to talk to us. So off we went.
Okay, we're going to have some of those stories that you did back then. We dug deep into the files to get the stories back from 96. Wow, it's now 30 years ago here as we're sitting here. But first, you testified before Congress September of 2025, and you told them about the Russian documents. Here's part of your testimony.
Back in the early 90s, I got into Russia, met with a number of their defense officials, Ministry of Defense and others, who confirmed for me that Russia had been doing the same thing the United States had been doing, that is, secretly studying UFOs while publicly saying something completely different. The documents and interviews that I obtained and have now shared with this task force show that the USSR launched what is almost certainly the largest UFO UAP investigation in the world. The first phase of that was an order was sent out to the entire USSR military empire that every unit, you see anything strange in the sky, a craft, an orb, something unusual, you had to gather all the evidence, collect testimony from the witnesses, look for physical evidence, and all of that information went into one program at the Ministry of Defense. Thousands and thousands of these reports came in. A lot of them were first routed to the KGB, but then back to another program that came after this collection effort called Thread 3. And Thread 3 was an analysis program. We have provided to the committee the documents of what they were trying to do, and essentially they were trying to build their own UFOs. They were using the information from their observations and studies to try to figure out the technology. The guy who was in charge of that program, Colonel Boris Sokolov, told me that their goal was to basically develop technology that would be superior to anything we had based on what they learned from UFOs.
Close encounters of the third type is when the alien comes out of the spaceship and you shake hands. Where are we? We're at close encounters of the first type right now. We're not touching the thing. We're not interacting with it. We're simply Googling it with our radars, and hopefully that we get some debris from it. But right now it's close encounters of the first type. We simply don't know where it came from or what it's doing here.
Well, and we're watching it now on our screen. It looks almost like a B-52 bomber or a Dorito shape flying through the sky. So we don't know, but we can watch it. Nick, you've suggested one possibility is that this is a secret prototype for an aircraft or some kind of drone. There's lots of different technologies tested at Area 51. Do you have a prediction about where this technology is going?
To hell.
Well, at any given time, you know that there's tech out there, 10, 15, 20 years ahead of anything that's publicly declared. So yes, absolutely. This could be some next generation prototype aircraft or drone. Hopefully it's ours and not an adversary spying on things that we're developing at Area 51. But Area 51, we know from history is a place where many of the US government's most remarkable pieces of aviation technology are tested and developed. The U-2, the SR-71 Blackbird, and more recently Stealth. So this could be something exciting, but not necessarily alien, though that would be fun.
Andrew, so what we're watching is the video that you shot, and you do this often when you see these things flying through the sky. But does this one have any different features? How is it different from the footage that you've captured in the past? How does it compare?
You handed over the docs to them. What have they done since? Do you know anything? What is it? And we're going to have the docs for you, by the way. That's one of the things that we're going to do is you're going to release them publicly.
Yeah, I provided copies of several of the most important documents from Russia and the translations, English translations, to that committee, and gave them permission to go ahead and publish it or put it in the congressional record. They haven't done so, and I think I defer to them because there might be legitimate reasons. It's a lot to absorb, and for Congress, they want to be able to confirm it on their own. Some of these translations of the original documents are kind of funky. That's the condition I got them in when I first commissioned some translators, Russian language folks. They haven't made them public yet. So we're going to do it on Mystery Wire. We're posting some really important stuff, very juicy about those secret Russian classified programs, putting them online, and people can read it for themselves, including some spectacular dramatic incidents that happened that threatened the outbreak of World War III.
And we could start World War III if we wanted to.
Yeah. We don't want to. But look, the same thing has happened in the U.S. Multiple U.S. missile bases have been overflown by UFOs, and our nuclear missiles were disabled, were taken offline by whatever these things were. It's scary and it's serious, and it really did happen. And those are the documents we're going to unleash tonight.
Okay.
Or this week.
Also, Congressman Burchett talked to you about what happened to the people in Russia that you talked to. Was one of his other questions to you when you testified in Congress. This was September of 2025.
What happened to the Russians that came forward to you in 1993, and were there any repercussions for them?
Well, there were. The first thing that happened when I talked about this after getting back and going through the files and things and sifting through it, the Russian physicist who had helped us be introduced all these people wrote back and said there was a huge eruption, that there was the real right, far autocratic forces that wanted a return of the USSR had really go after these guys. They described them as traitors. Nikolai Kapranov, the physicist friend of mine, said, look, if this had happened 5 years earlier, we would be in prison. If it had happened 10 years earlier, we would have been shot. Right. Luckily, at that point, Putin was not in power, but none of those people that we talked to on that trip in 1993 would ever talk to me again. I went back in 1996, and it was like I had the plague. I spoke to different people, but they were scared.
Wow. I mean, do you believe in the UFOs? Do you believe that there's aliens living among us? I fucking do, because these motherfuckers are all over the place acting crazy. And I feel like they're all Democrats. I believe the aliens are Democrats because the way they think is out of this world. It's like everything I say, they do opposite. Anything a Republican says, they'll do the opposite. And then they think that's good. And I don't know. I don't live in a world of delusion. I just don't. I mean, I live the now, but man, the now has been fucking insane. It's like, I'm looking forward to death. just to get away from this shit. I'm so looking forward to death. But here we go. Let's keep on with the program. We still got lots to watch. And let me set this up. And we're going to watch a little bit of Liberal Hive Mind.
Channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And of course, here's the meme of the day brought to you by 5mind.com. Now, this is a very, very interesting moment. And frankly, I think it speaks to the political divide that we're currently experiencing these days, how deeply propagandized certain people are and how it's impossible to even engage in good faith negotiation or
Pick up the
discussions.
Democrat.
Most importantly, I think this clip is going to speak
Look who it
volumes
is
to
from
just how
Connecticut.
destructive
What's her name
the
again? I
mainstream
forgot
media
her
has been.
name.
And really, I think it's
I
less
really don't
mainstream
care for
media
her
and
name,
more
to be honest
left-wing
with
media
you.
in general because, well, it feels like the independent people on the left
Of course, we
doing
got
the
our
same
clown
thing,
from
if anything,
Connecticut
taking
there.
it to a whole other level. You see that with Midas Touch and the rest of these freaking clowns all over social media. There's no room for middle ground anymore. The left has been so deeply propagandized to be closed-minded, angry, hateful. And this clip, I think, puts that into clear perspective. Let me show you guys exactly what just happened at a town hall event in Minnesota. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so we got a couple state-level Minnesota Republicans here. They did a sit-down town hall with CNN, and in comes the topic of President Trump, and just pay attention to how the audience is reacting to what is being said here. I think that's the story.
And the president has certainly had his licks too against those who are in power here. But let me quickly
to that point, actually, I think it's really important to note that this week, President Trump met with these leaders, and he came out and he said great things about them. If you read his post, he was very complimentary, and it was repudiated with more insults from the leaders here in Minnesota. The olive branch is constantly extended, and it's swatted away because of anger and resentment.
Right now, as we speak, we have Keith Ellison.
Let's address the laughter in the room. You're hearing that laughter because people see it the other way, that the president has been the
honestly, I think a large part of that is the way that media is spinning it. We saw, that's a real problem. Media is not addressing serious issues. Just in December, the Star Tribune here in Minnesota, our largest newspaper, had a year-end wrap-up where they wrapped up the most important stories of the year. They didn't even touch on the $9 billion worth of fraud in this state, which is honestly, my belief and a lot of people's beliefs is the reason that there's so much chaos and that the governor refuses to work is because this is a great distraction from his absolute failure.
They're laughing in his face. It just goes to show how impossible it is to deal with these leftists. We cannot have a conversation relating to bipartisan discussions, cooperation with the left because they have been so deeply propagandized to think that Donald Trump is the core of every problem. Donald Trump is the easy blanket blame. Just blame everything on him. The reason we can't cooperate and can't find solution is because Donald Trump is a crazy person. But where does this belief come from? That's really the question I have, because it definitely cannot be from President Trump himself or the Trump administration. Time and time again, Donald Trump, just as was being stated there on stage, he has extended an olive branch. And you see this across the world as well. He's willing to deal with anyone. But what happens every time President Trump extends his hand out or gives an offer? They spit in his hand. They try to slap him in the face and kick him in the balls. I always go back to that infamous Nancy Pelosi photo. I forget what the issue of contention was at the time. But again, it was President Trump calling on top Democrat officials and leaders to come to the White House to find common ground, to resolve differences and find solution. And instead, Nancy Pelosi took the moment not to negotiate anything in good faith, but to get that photo op moment, which was coordinated. She obviously knew that the press was going to be there. And so she decided to stand up and wag the finger at President Trump. Oh, you evil, evil man. And then, of course, instead of finding any solutions, that's what dominated the headlines. Then following that moment, during his State of the Union address, she ripped up his speech behind him. This is the problem. And you see it on every single issue. Democrats don't want to negotiate. They don't want to sit down with President Trump. They want to demonize him and then shut down the government. Give us an excuse to use the nuclear option so we can cause more chaos, more mayhem, use hysteria and pain as our leverage. The truth is, President Trump is always trying to negotiate.
Between CNN and MS
terrorist organizations, with Kim Jong-un, with Vladimir Putin, with anybody, because he actually wants to do the right thing. And that's what's being said here. And instead, you have these clowns in the audience laughing in his face. This is what happens every time we try to have an honest conversation with these leftists. It's always condescension. It's always hate, vitriol, and division. And then they have the audacity to point the finger and say that we're the problem. We're the source of division. No, you people have been so deeply propagandized to believe that Donald Trump is the most evil man that has ever existed, but it's simply just not the case. And that's actually what Bill Maher was speaking to all those months ago, as he's been slowly kind of, let's call it, I guess, engaging in therapy, trying to address his Trump derangement syndrome. He sat down with President Trump and he came to the conclusion that everybody comes to who goes through this path.
A crazy person doesn't live in the White House. A person who plays a crazy person on TV a lot lives there, which I know is f***ed up. It's just not as f***ed up as I thought it was. But I also think he now understands I have a job to do, or at least he did on this night, because he said to me early on that he'd seen our last episode, which was the Friday before this dinner. And he said, I thought maybe you'd be nice, but you hit me really hard. I did. Because I'm not going to pull my punches that presidents get to propose a third term for themselves. He understood that, and without animus. And he said, I've heard from a lot of people who really like that we're having this dinner. Not all, but a lot. And I said, same. A lot of people told me they loved it, but not all. And we agreed. The people who don't even want us to talk, we don't like you. Don't talk, as opposed to what? Writing the same editorial for the millionth time and making 25-hour speeches into the wind? Really, that's what liberals have? He takes the piss out of everybody else and we can hold ours? Trump was gracious and measured, and why he isn't that in other settings, I don't know, and I can't answer, and it's not my place to answer.
This is true 100% of the time. It's true on a personal level, and it's also true on a policy level. They claim that he's a fascist, he's bullying Minnesota and cracking down on Minnesota. There's no middle ground to be had. But again, sure, that's what the mainstream media is saying, that's what the Democrat pundits are saying, but in reality, again, they continue to extend olive branches, and in this case, in Minnesota, Tom Homan is that olive branch. Just listen to what he's saying.
Now we have millions of people released in this nation, many unvetted. Now we got to find them. Before the big, beautiful bill, we had a total just under 5,000 deportation officers to look for millions of people, many in public safety threats. So yes, we needed Border Patrol to come and help on our mission now. Reason for the massive deployment is because of the stress, because of the violence. Our officers need to be protected. If I'm on an operation, an arrest team, I'm going to a house, I got to be busy with that guy, the dangerous guy, and I can't keep looking over my shoulder at what's happening outside the house. So we brought extra resources in to provide that security. And as I said, as we drill down on these great agreements we got and this great understanding we have means less. So we can draw down those resources. When the violence decreases, we can draw down those resources. But based on the discussions I've had with the governor and the AG, we can start drawing down those resources as far as those looking for public safety threats being released and do it in the jail with much less people. So the drawdown is going to happen based on these agreements. But the drawdown can happen even more if the hateful rhetoric and the impediment and interference will stop. So Border Patrol, I was a Border Patrol agent. These men and women are patriots. God bless them. They're here to help us. The drawdown will come soon, depending on when I see this in play. But the agreements to have alone is going to cause a significant drawdown. So you're going to see a drawdown.
President Trump is fully willing to negotiate. He's fully willing to find a peaceful compromise. He doesn't want the chaos. He wants to do the right thing. But the left-wing political incentive is to never capitulate, to never negotiate, to never even engage in good faith policy discussion, but rather just to demonize and obstruct and sabotage. How are you supposed to have a positive interaction to, find solutions and get the policy right if this is the outlook? Well, the answer is you simply can't. You cannot. And this is what I'm constantly saying. We cannot even have conversations with left-wingers anymore because according to the left, we're Nazis, we're evil, we're the worst thing to ever happen. And I always say the same thing. I mean, what is so evil? What have we done? What are we advocating for? Strong borders, law and order, election integrity, low taxes, a strong economy? No, they don't want to engage in any of it. They just want to block their ears, close their eyes, scream la 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 at the top of their lungs, and continue projecting negativity, living in their Chicken Little, the sky is falling little friggin' partisan fairy tale land. And on the issue of the economy, I think that's probably the most succinct point. If you look at the polling data, I mean, first of all, the economy is absolutely blasting. We're talking about an over 5% GDP in Q4. These are numbers that are unheard of in the modern era. But if you look at polling data relating to economic sentiment, Democrats believe believe that we're in a recession. You know, the Joe Biden years, oh, that was the greatest economy of all time. As regular people were getting crushed. Now you have actual hope. You have a light at the end of the tunnel, and they've all convinced themselves that it's the worst economy ever. How are you supposed to engage in good faith with these people? It's impossible. You try to extend an olive branch, and they laugh in your face. You try to negotiate, and they spit on you. You try to push forward the democratically voted on mandate, and they shut the government down. It's impossible. And that, my friends, is exactly what I gathered. I think that is what is perfectly visualized in that CNN town hall moment. You got Republicans there talking common sense, and the CNN crowd is laughing in their face. They'd rather live in their mainstream media projected fantasy land than live in the real world. Their entire ideology, their entire existence is orange man bad. And that's not just a meme. It's reality. It's a freaking diagnosis. Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing, and no one will ever convince me otherwise. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
All right, let's keep it moving.
And we are following breaking news in Gloucester. Search and rescue teams are looking for the crew of a fishing boat that sank this morning. The Coast Guard says a debris field was found 25 miles off Cape Ann, and we know that one person has been found dead. Minutes ago, we learned 6 other people were on that boat. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Lisa Hughes.
And David Wade, the Coast Guard is not abandoning the search.
They're all dead.
WBZ's Logan Hall is
too
live
cold.
with the very latest in Gloucester.
I'm sorry, it's too cold. They're dead.
Yeah, David and Lisa, that's right. Good evening. We are getting new information at the top of this hour as officials, including Governor Maura Healey, are on site here providing an update on where the search and rescue mission stands. We can tell you, we can confirm that there were 7 people aboard that vessel and that one person was found, one body was found unresponsive in the water. And we've been here over the course of the day as search and rescue crews returned from out in the water and had the chance to see just a little bit of what the search and rescue operation looked like. Now, this was a 72-foot vessel called the Lily Jean that sent out an emergency transmission around 6:50 this morning, and there's still no word on the identity of the body that was recovered. This emergency transmission came from about 25 miles off the coast of Cape Ann. Coast Guards tried contacting the vessel and got no response, which prompted them to issue an urgent marine information broadcast. There was an empty life raft associated with the boat that was also found in the water. Now, officials from the Coast Guard moments ago just described to us just how serious this operation is and what resources they had to help find the missing people.
The water is so cold.
We have been searching since we received electronic beacon that went off early this morning. We immediately launched assets.
No, they're dead.
We had a bias for action.
I'm not going to play this game.
We put a helicopter out, and the helicopter.
Don't give me false hope.
I think just about within 40 minutes found a debris field. And as the senator mentioned, there was one unresponsive person who we recovered.
In the last 24 hours, we saw a tremendous tragedy. It's an active search and rescue mission at this point. But I want to acknowledge the sacrifice of fishing families, and in particular, fishing families of the Gloucester community.
Now, Governor Healey did mention just how difficult this moment is for this community. This is a very tight-knit fishing community, and we heard from the Director of Fisheries just a little bit ago, and this was somebody who was incredibly emotional as he knows so many of those people who are out on that boat. It's an incredibly emotional and difficult loss for this Gloucester community, and this operation is still very active and ongoing. As Coast Guards tell us, they're planning to continue this search well into the night. Reporting live in Gloucester, I'm Logan Hall, WBZ News.
All right, Logan, thank you. Also breaking here tonight.
Yeah, I don't want to give false hope. They're not alive. Let's keep moving.
But first, we go to Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin with more on this armada. Jennifer.
Well, Aisha, you just heard the president say he's given Iran a deadline. The ongoing massive military buildup appears to be part of some last-minute gunboat diplomacy. The protests, which raged earlier this month, have quieted for now as regime opponents are too terrified to leave their houses. Meanwhile, Iran remains cut off from the world. Iranian activist Moj Madara, who started the Iranian diaspora collective, has spoken with Iranians now
as 20 day by the regime. Wow. So people are stuck inside, for all intents and purposes, house arrest. They're now starting to get the news that the numbers are 36,000, upwards of 40, 50,000.
One high-profile case, Zara Tabari, a 67-year-old retiree sentenced to death after a brief video trial, has been removed from death row but remains imprisoned. Her son, Sarush Samak, had this warning.
If they came for my 67-year-old mom, who didn't do nothing, then nobody is safe.
President Trump called off military strikes earlier this month when the regime agreed to halt more than 800 executions. Iranians say those executions have started up again.
There has been north of 14 to 15 executions that have already taken place, and the regime is telling on their own
The
state
USA
TV
is not
they
doing
don't
nothing
care.
about it.
They have 43,000 people,
I thought,
protesters that they've arrested.
Trump was going to
They
step up.
will be tried
Step up.
as spies.
But they're doing
as
this on purpose.
allies of America,
They want
and
this
they
to
are
happen.
going to
And Trump
murder these people.
The U.S. continues to
catching them
surge
on it.
military assets into the region, including a carrier strike
Because they're
group,
doing
the
this on
USS
purpose.
Abraham Lincoln, which is now in the Arabian Sea with dozens of stealth fighter jets. The EU agreed to list Iran's Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist organization, perhaps helping the U.S. lay the groundwork for a legal justification to target the IRGC and Iran's top leaders. Aisha?
Okay, Jen Griffin live for us. Jen, thank you.
All right, with us now is State Department spokesperson Tommy Pickett. Tommy, good to have you with us. It looks like when it comes to Iran that the president is employing the tried and true gunboat diplomacy.
Yeah,
Here's what he said just a
the
little while
internet
ago.
was cut out on purpose. Yeah, it was.
A lot of very big, very powerful ships sailing to Iran right now. And it would be great if we didn't have to
And the only
use
reason why they
them.
turned on the
Two
internet
things. Number
is
one,
to
no
see if they
nuclear.
can figure out what the hell
And
the
number
U.S. is
two,
doing.
Stop killing protesters. They're going to have to do something. Nobody's seen anything like this.
So the president is urging Iran to make a deal. I mean, what kind of deal is he looking for? What is he looking to get out of these talks?
Well, look, the president has been very clear. He outlined the two messages he has for the regime right there: no nuclear weapons and to stop killing protesters. What the president is doing here is peace through strength. The president's been clear he wants to have a deal. He'll have talks with people when it's in our national interest to do so. And the demands, the message that he is sending to the Iranian regime has been very clear. He's done it repeatedly.
All right. So many people in Iran and in the United States believe that the time for regime change is now, that the regime is in very, very bad shape. Listen to what Marco Rubio, your boss, said about it just a little while ago.
That regime is probably weaker than there's ever been. And the core problem they face, unlike the protests you saw in the past on some other topics, is that they don't have a way to address the core complaints of the protesters, which is that their economy is in collapse.
So is it time for a change?
Well, ultimately, as the secretary was talking about there, is that the Iranian regime has wasted their vast wealth. Instead of funding infrastructure for water, food, and energy, they've wasted it on malign activities. And the important context here is from the beginning of this administration, we've had a maximum pressure policy instituted by President Trump to deny the Iranian regime the revenues they need to continue those malign activities, to fund those malign activities, including that nuclear program, including a ballistic missile program, including funding their terrorist proxies across the region. We're seeing further sanctions and actions being taken even this week in furtherance of that maximum pressure policy. That's been the context here. The regime wasting their vast wealth. Instead of meeting the needs of their people, they're wasting it on these malign activities.
Right. So again, do you believe it's time for regime change?
Well, ultimately, what we're focused on here is advancing the national interest of the United States. The president's been clear. He wants to see a deal that would address these malign activities and further our interests. And he's had those messages for the regime, including no nuclear weapons and to stop killing protesters.
But if this regime won't do it, is it time for somebody else to take charge?
Well, I'm not going to get into hypotheticals here, but this is a situation that the president is monitoring incredibly closely. He's advancing our national interests, as he always does. It's about making America safer, stronger, more prosperous. And the way the president does that is through peace, through strength.
So there was an interesting move that the European Union took, and that was to list the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, as a terrorist organization, which brought the following response from Ali Larijani in Iran, who said, quote, the European Union certainly knows that according to the resolution of the Iranian parliament, the armies of the countries that were involved in the recent EU resolution against the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps are considered terrorists. Therefore, the consequences will fall on the European countries that took such action. I mean, from Iran, Tommy, that seems like so much blah, 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 blah. But it's pretty significant that the EU took that step.
Indeed, and this goes to the maximum pressure policy as well. The fact that you see an Iranian regime that is the world's leading state sponsor of terror. And we've been very clear that we need to see those malign activities come to an end. We're going to deny them revenue to implement those policies through our maximum pressure policy. And we encourage other countries to join in that effort. That's been clear from the beginning of this administration, part of these conversations to address that funding of terrorism that we see from this regime.
So the big question is, if the regime were to fall, who comes next? Obviously, Reza Pahlavi has recently officially thrown his hat into the ring. He wants to be an interim leader there. Mariam Rajavi of the National Council for the Resistance in Iran, formerly the
I
MEK,
think something really
would
big is
like to
going to
be the
happen.
interim leader. Is it one of them? Is it
Like, where's
somebody
the moon
else? I mean, what's the
cycle?
State Department think?
Hold on, let me see where the
Oh,
moon
look, I'm
is
not going to
at.
get into hypotheticals. As I mentioned earlier, we're focused on our national interests here. The president's clear. He wants to see the regime come to the table to make a deal that would address the clear concerns, very clear concerns that the president has outlined.
All right, well, they may be hypothetical at the moment, but
We're
hypotheticals
almost
often
close
have
to
a
a full
habit of quickly
moon.
becoming
Full moon's
reality.
on the first,
We'll
so
revisit this with you, Tommy.
expect
Thank
a
you.
strike any day
Hey,
now.
Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here
They
to subscribe to Fox
they
News
tend,
YouTube
they
page
tend to
and
want
catch
to
our
strike during full moon because when you look up during full moon, there's a lot of light, but you can't really see up. So when missiles are coming, you can't really see them during a full moon. That's why they love to like attack and start wars during a full moon. And the next full moon is on the 1st of February. So high alert for something to be happening within the next few days. Damn, I hope it doesn't happen like on the 1st because I just feel something crazy is gonna happen. Something is, and it's gonna be like biblical. Things like that. They put it in books, like history books, and it's forever embedded in our history, world history, and it's not gonna be good. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. Let's set this up. Here we go.
Huge development in the Epstein files, an enormous number of documents,
Epstein.
photos, and videos just released.
Oh,
by the
Lord,
Department of
not that
Justice.
creep.
The DOJ announcing it is releasing more than 3 million pages, 2,000 videos, and 180 images, saying this is the rest of the long-awaited Epstein files. Our investigative reporter, Terry Parker, has been going through those files since their release early this afternoon. Terry, it's quite a lot of information there.
It certainly is. I've been entering local search terms into this huge database and getting some interesting hits. You'll recall I've interviewed Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein, several times. And I found one of our email chains concerning a possible tip about the FBI. The DOJ releasing the more than 3 million files, supposedly everything they have ever compiled on Jeffrey Epstein, the majority of the documents heavily redacted. But the DOJ also admitting they kept back close to 3 million items for various reasons allowable under the same law that forced the release of the documents. We did find that Epstein watched WPBF 25 News. One to Epstein, you made the evening news. Check out story on WPBF website. Epstein replies, like gum on your shoe, can't scrape it off. The next day, Epstein forwarded the email about our reporting to another redacted name, adding, it doesn't end. And my reporting on the Epstein case put me in the files too. An email chain between me, a former colleague, and Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein, ended up in the FBI's hands in 2020 after someone sent Mark Epstein this email claiming they had information on his brother's, quote, murder, saying the guards were paid $6,500 so that they would not visit prisoners at this time. Within 15 minutes, a man named Redacted entered your brother's prison cell and strangled him. The U.S. Attorney's Office acting on this. We also found that in 2011, following his criminal conviction, Epstein was apparently eyeing buying the estate next to his Palm Beach after the owner, Dame Celia Lipton Ferris, died. The person writing this email noting the 12,400 square foot mansion was built for Consuelo Vanderbilt and has or used to have high ceilings and pretty good parquet floors in Boiseray. The files also contain insight into how Epstein's lawyers tried to make that sweetheart non-prosecution deal in 2008 even sweeter. Epstein's lawyers, just before the signing deadline, wanting a lesser state charge that would not require Epstein to register as a sex offender. A federal attorney writing to the state prosecutor, "We will not budge on this issue." And they didn't. Epstein did have to register as a sex offender, but only spent 13 months on work release and went on to abuse hundreds more victims.
Wow.
And the files include a lot of uncorroborated tips to law enforcement, and some of those are salacious allegations against President Trump. Those tips were deemed uncorroborated by federal investigators, according to the emails we saw. The DOJ says tonight none of the emails confirm any criminal or inappropriate behavior about President Trump. Terry Parker, WPBF 25 News.
And Terry Parker covered the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein since the beginning. To find her complete and timely coverage, you can head to our website, WPBF.com. We'll have more coverage on the Epstein files on World News with David Muir. That's at 6:30 after this broadcast.
Okay, let's bring it back to me. What do you guys think? I mean, Epstein, all the craziness that's happening today, and all they have this like dump of information. I think they said it was like close to what, like 3 million pages or something. 3 million. Who the fuck has time to go through 3 million pages of evidence? First of all, how many trees can 3 million pages? Is that like a whole tree? Probably more. Like, what a waste. What a waste. And the fact that they have all this information on this guy and they're still hiding. I don't, is he really not with us? I question it even more today. And where's Clinton, by the way? Where's Bill? Where's Hillary? We stopped talking about them because you know what? They're not in this country. They're not here, and they're not following through on the subpoena. They're gonna try to arrest them, but they're in a country that there's no extradition. So good luck going after the Clintons. That's fucking weird, man. This world is. I know I'm living in hell. We're all in hell, and it's okay to think that way. And when we do pass, we go back into vibration and we go back into the frequencies. And it must be better than this. It has to be better than this. Because this is just garbage. Like every day, the same bullshit. Like you go and watch my show ever since I started covering the news, and you just see the pattern. And it's just a same pattern of negativity and unhappiness, and everybody's just very selfish. Like take the moment to love yourself. How about do that instead of going out there and spreading so much hate? Learn to love. All right, let's keep it moving. Don't know. Clown. Another clown.
Have those conversations. Essentially, how will you make sure the peace provisions end up in the final bill?
Look, we intend to negotiate with Leader Thune. We will need in the Senate a majority of votes, 60 votes, to pass the Homeland Security bill through the Senate. So we expect to negotiate with them, and it's on them. We're ready. We have a strong group of proposals. They're common sense. They're what the American people want us to do. It's on them. Yes.
Thank you, Leader Schumer. Lindsey Graham's been very vocal over the last day or so. He said that, in his opinion, the root cause of everything we're seeing in Minneapolis is open border policies.
Wow, it's gonna be -7 tonight.
Democrats are vilifying all ICE agents.
Holy shit!
A couple of incidents that he said.
That's the coldest it's been in a long time.
Lindsey Graham ought to talk to the American people and see how they feel. Yes.
If this falls apart, are you willing to break apart the DHS funding bill to fund GSA, FEMA, and separate?
We're not engaging in hypotheticals. We want the Republicans to join us so that we can pass strong bipartisan legislation that curbs ICE, stops the violence, reins it in. That's what the American. Why are we in such a strong position here? Not because of us. It's because what the American people want and demand. Why did the Republicans have to, after saying they would never go along with our desire to divide the bills, why did they have to go along? 3 words: the American people. Yes.
Are you seeing any signs from Thune or Trump?
This guy's a fucking moron.
Well, the fact that they came and said, we're going to do it your way because you wouldn't,
We
because
wouldn't have
blocked them
been
their
through
way
this
shows.
if you wouldn't
I
have
think the
shut down the
Republicans,
fucking government in the first place, you dumb
and
fucking
the
idiot.
Republicans know that this is an issue where they're on the wrong side of the American people, and
It's
it
like
really
listening
matters.
to a like
And my
Democrat.
guess is
It's
a
like
whole
you
lot of
want to like
Republicans don't want to
it's like
see these
nails scratching on a
roaming bands of
chalkboard.
goons and
That's what it
thugs
sounds like to
invade
me.
city after city after city. So I believe they know it's in their own interest, as well as in America's people, the American people's interest, to curb this. Whether they have the guts to do it, whether they have the strength to do it, we shall see. Yes.
Thank you. Have you been in communication with House Democratic leadership and did Hakeem Jeffries sign on to the 2-week DHS?
Well, this bill was negotiated in the Senate by Thune and me. But I've talked to Hakeem Jeffries. For instance, we talked about how long a CR should be because we wanted to limit it greatly, and we agreed on 2 weeks. Yes.
On your requirement for the mask off, several Republicans.
On the requirement of the
demasking, the mask off.
Yes.
And several Republicans have raised concern about that because they say agents are being doxxed and that's why they're wearing these masks. They don't want to be doxxed.
Look, the whole ICE needs discipline, training, etc. Given the brutality, given everything they've done, we need real ID. Plain and simple.
What?
And to have a law enforcement officer
Real
with
ID?
no ID, pick someone up, throw them in
What?
a dark room, and they don't even know who they are.
Real ID?
We don't even know if they're law
This
enforcement
sounds like a
agents.
trap.
So we have to have real ID. plain
Listen
and
to
simple.
this.
Yes.
People better pick up on this. They're trying to push.
How will Democrats develop more specific?
You guys are being
proposals and
led into a trap.
Democrats are going to be taking the lead.
Look, we're going to have a group of Democrats negotiate. We're going to have to negotiate with the Republicans
not falling for
to
this
get
shit.
this done. But
Hell
as we've
no.
said over and over again,
That's
they
what they're
shouldn't
gonna do.
expect our
They're gonna
votes
want
if
real
they're not willing
ID.
to go along with strong legislation.
They're gonna want
Yes,
digital
go ahead,
ID.
Finally. No, you. No, this night he's been trying very hard.
Thank you very much, Mr. the Independent. Even if these reforms pass, ICE still has $75 billion.
It is a trap. I know, Terry. That's crazy. They're
How do you
pushing
assure the American people, especially the American people,
barcodes
that these
tattooed on us.
reforms will
Yeah.
actually be meaningful, but
Yeah.
ICE still has
And chips.
$75 billion.
They're putting chips on us.
Well, one of the things we want to do is to make sure that the reforms we have apply to all the money that ICE is now spending, no matter where it comes from. Did you want to answer that? No, that's been your. Yes.
Just in your in terms of getting these demands, did you have any direct conversations with President Trump while you were negotiating this, and do you intend to engage him over these next 2 weeks, or
Look.
kind of sit down with him to try?
We need Democrats and Republicans in the Senate to pass this.
Like
so
they're
I'm
putting
gonna talk
chips
to Thune.
inside of us.
Whatever
I'm
he
telling you,
wants to
the
say to Trump
future,
and whatever,
2030
if
is going to
Trump
be
can
so
constructive,
fucking
great.
weird.
But when I mean, right now, Trump
It's
is
like
being destructive.
controlling the herd.
It's his force.
That's what I
It's his
see.
ICE force.
And that
It's his
chip, you know
roving
what?
band
You
of
can't
thugs
hide
going
from that
across
chip
the cities.
because
Thune and
Wi-Fi
I
picks it
are
up
the two leads
everywhere.
on the negotiation. Okay?
Wi-Fi picks up that chip everywhere you go. You are being monitored. And you're on a stoplight. Guess what? Your chip is communicating with that stoplight, and it knows that you're there. I'm telling you, this is going to be one of the fucked up, like for humanity. This is the worst thing that could happen.
So that people understand what is about.
But everyone's following along because it's the trend.
Unless
It's all about the
knows answer to
trend.
that At the technical level, I would honestly defer to OMB because I'm not sure
Yeah.
how it actually operates.
It's the Trump administration. Ask them.
Okay. You sold 2 Republican.
Yeah, that's what it is, a GPS tracker. That's exactly what it is.
Billion for ICE. That was a big part of the.
You can pay all your bills with it. You can pay your groceries with a swipe of your hand. You can fill up your gas with a swipe of your
But look, we
hand.
expect
Oh, you
that
need
our
a car
Republicans
wash?
will join
A
us in
swipe of
every
your
part of the
hand.
conversation.
Everything's just going to be
But
a
as has
swipe
been made clear by
of
the
your
three
hand.
of us, plain and simple.
And then
It's up to
the
them
bad guys, what they're going to
to
do
get our
is
votes to join
to
us.
rob
It's on
you.
their
They're
back.
going to chop
We're
your
ready.
hand.
We know
and
what we
steal
want.
your
We think the
fucking
American
money.
people very much
They're
want
like,
it.
give me
The
give me everything you
patrols,
got.
the
Oh,
enforced
it's in your hand.
accountability,
All right, let me
and
cut that bitch
masks
out
on,
and
body
take it.
camera, masks off, body cameras on. No secret police. Secret police in America? What
This
the heck
guy's
is
an
going
idiot.
on?
This guy's
Okay.
acting like he's so
Thank you,
surprised. Like
everybody.
secret police, motherfuckers had it for the past 4 years with fucking Biden. Like, what the fuck is this guy?
That was Senator Chuck
Like, this
Schumer
guy's a fucking
speaking
idiot,
after
man.
the Senate voted to pass
He
this
doesn't have much life.
revamped funding bill. Though
Like,
lawmakers
I
were
see
able to
him
advance
like
the revamped
expiring within the
five-bill
next 3
package
years.
without the controversial DHS funding bill and a 2-week extension for DHS funding to keep that afloat. The partial government shutdown
Do they
is
know
all
why
but
we came
guaranteed.
to
That's
this
because the
conclusion that
House
we're
still
doing
has to
today?
approve this, and
It's
they're not
because of
scheduled
your
to be back in
shutdown
session
that you fucking
until
did.
Monday
And
after the deadline for this
people
government
forget so
shutdown. So
easily,
a
man.
partial government shutdown, again, all but guaranteed, but Senate passing that revamped funding package this afternoon.
Yeah, but the government is still going to close. It's going to be closed for the weekend. So, you know, it shouldn't affect us as much, but it will affect. This guy's a fucking idiot because they had all this time. I don't understand why these motherfuckers doing in Washington. I think they all need to be like turned out and kicked out of Washington. We need new blood in there. We need a new focus in there. We can't keep these old tortoises in there and they're trying to dictate our future and they're about to croak out at any minute. Like, are you kidding me? You're trying to make decisions for young people and your turtle ass, like tortoise ass, like over 70 easily, like it's trying to like control us, the young. Get the fuck out of here, dude. You know, I think these people need to be turned out and just kicked out of Washington after a certain amount of time. You know, it's just all these old senior turtles that they think they're doing something, but they're very slow motion. And they're like, oh my God, we did something. We moved. Let's celebrate, everybody. And they're all a bunch of turtles. They're a bunch of slow turtles. And I love turtles, but these motherfuckers are old motherfuckers that are like, they need to be kicked out of Washington. Like now. Don't wait until later. Now. All right, let's see. Oh, talking about microchips. Talking about fucking microchips. Melody King, take it over.
I opened up YouTube and a video popped up that absolutely shocked me. I have never heard of it. I have heard no one talking about this. So I just know it was the Lord himself that led me to it. And I'm going to play it in a second. But look at what this is saying. Microchipped at work. Washington state bill aims to ban employers from using dehumanizing tech. Now that's what they're trying to do, but understand, right? They're going to ban it in Washington. I can guarantee it will not be banned, that this will not get passed, and that employers will be allowed to do it, or there'll be loopholes because you guys know we're getting to the pointed end with digital ID and all of these things coming out. I've showed you and I've told you this over and over again. We're seeing biblical prophecy every single day take place. We are getting one step closer to going home, to being with our Savior and getting out of this ghetto that we call Earth. But let me play this video.
I'm with
Next
you.
issue is an issue that I call, hey, boss, don't microchip me. So there have been proposals that employers, this starts in other states, are asking, it always starts out voluntary, for employees to have a microchip under their skin, like in their hand, let's say, so that you just wave it in front of a reader and it's used for security or getting into a building or accessing certain areas. It's supposed to be really convenient. But of course, this idea horrifies a lot of people. So a bill has been introduced by Representative Breanne Thomas she represents Seattle and Vashon. She's a Democrat. Her bill is HB 2303, and it would, very simple, prohibit any employer from requesting, requiring, or coercing employees to have a microchip implanted under their skin. This is an obvious idea, if you ask me. And the problem with these proposals, and again, this has started in some other states, is it starts out voluntary. And then before you know it, the boss is saying, no, it's mandatory. The other part of coercion is they'll say something, the company, let's say, sometimes the government does this. Hey, we're not forcing you to do anything. We're just going to make your life really, really difficult until you comply. So these mandates, whether it's in the private sector or the public sector, are always suspicious when they start out supposedly voluntary. Usually there's some kind of suggested coercion behind it. So Representative Thomas is getting ahead of this problem. We commend her for it. And this should be a very popular bipartisan idea. It is certainly something that Washington Policy Center would support.
Yeah, they're trying to mandate it. Yeah, for sure.
It also brings up this apocalyptic future of
Because
science
everything's
fiction
going to
that you hear
be
about
on that
where
chip.
people are
If you
being
want to
turned
go
into
on the
robots
trip,
or,
you want to pay for your airline ticket, you use your hand. For your boarding pass is going to be your hand.
It's the first step to a
So
brave
you
new
go
world.
through the
I know
boarding
that this all
gates
sounds
through
kind of
your
over the
hand,
top,
security
but
through
we
your
have
hand,
seen that ideas start
boarding
out
the
small and
plane.
then they
You're
tend
going
to
to
grow.
swipe your hand to get on the
It reminded
plane.
me from a policy point of view of the
Oh, you want to
original thinking
purchase a
of the Social
pillow and
Security
a
number that was
sheet and
enacted
some
first in the
snacks.
1930s.
They're going to
It
come with
only
a
applied to
device.
people who
You're going
were
to swipe
in the
with your hand,
workforce, number one. And number
and they'll give
two,
you the
the
items.
government only
Everything's
assigned
all
you a
going to
Social
be on your
Security
hand.
number
You're
when
not
you
going to
got
have a
your
wallet
first job.
anymore.
So when you entered the workforce, you got a number. Well, here we are today in the modern world,
Everything's going
and
to be
Social
from your
Security numbers
phone.
are now issued mandatorily
And they're
to
even trying
every
to
baby
that
that's
with
born in the
Neuralink.
United States. So it went from
Trying
being
to
a
control your
number
mind.
for workers and for a social insurance program like Social Security to now it's our national identification number that applies to everybody. So I'm just explaining that that's the way these things grow and we need to watch out. I'm not necessarily saying that Social Security numbers are bad. It's just that they start out small and then gradually expand and, by the way, become a mandate for everyone. So it's something to watch out for.
If you found this informative, share it with a friend and consider.
So, are you hearing this? What did I even tell you about digital ID? Oh, it's not mandatory. It's not mandatory. That is how it always starts, guys.
Yep.
That's how everything is always started. It's
Always
not
been that way.
mandatory, but the idea that employers need that, like, your badge isn't enough. Some type of little card reader, nothing. They actually need to chip you now in order for you to get to work, in order for you to come into work. What did they say? What have I been telling you? Bill Gates said by 2028, if you don't have digital ID, you won't be able to really exist in society. They said by 2030, you will own nothing and be happy. They said by 2030, that work will actually be optional, that everyone will have universal high income. What did Elon Musk say? That, and the Nokia CEO, that there will be no more cell phones by about 2030, at actually 2030, and that everything will go to the Neuralink. Guys, we're talking about 4 years here, less than that. Because do I even trust the day, the year? I think it's sooner. Elon Musk is now mass implanting Neuralink this year, he said, because now they don't need a human to do the surgery. It's a robot. And I have more on that, but I want to look at this. Look at this. Go back to that original article, but the financial leaders predict employee microchipping by 2030. Let's just, guys, I told you this is crazy. This is crazy. In order to keep your job, guys, they're not only mass replacing people. Have you seen all the layoffs that are going on? Right now, they're insane. I've been wanting to get to it. They're squeezing us with our utility bills, particularly electric bills. People all over cannot believe it. They are seeing a bill goes from $2,000 to $1,000. We're getting squeezed.
Yeah,
and they're not even
they're
using
trying to
anything. Some
charge
people are
them
turning off
fucking
their whole electrical
$10,000 on a
box
fucking
and everything, and they
electricity
are
bill. You
reading their meter
kidding me?
daily, and they are getting charged this
Fuck those
astronomical
motherfuckers.
amount of money. And when you call the company, well, they have no explanation, but yet you're expected to pay.
And they don't help.
Because if they don't,
don't
well,
help.
they're going to cut off
They don't
service.
care.
Is the coercion.
You're gonna
Where are
just
you going to
tax the
go?
fuck
Who
outta
else
you.
is going to provide that service? You see, because they have a monopoly on it. And then also, if you want to work because you need to provide, well, you're going to need digital ID. Okay. And then, okay, digital ID on the phone. Well, that's been hacked. There's going to be some psyop. It's been hacked. Right? But if it's in your body biometrically, which they have all said is the goal, that is the goal. Okay. Even RFK Jr. has said this, to track your health. preventative care, let you know if you're having a heart attack or an aneurysm or something like that. But no, they want to put the chip in you. And now, guys, I want you to think about that. They want it to go into your body because that is the next step. That is how they're going to block, hackers, because it'll read with your biometric system. Are you seeing where this is going? But let's continue. It says, it is amazing. I'm just sorry. This is literal prophecy, like literal biblical prophecy when it talks about mixing the iron with the clay
Terry,
being
I've been
flesh, the
saying
iron
for
being
years
this
on my channel.
technology.
I'm talking
This
about
is literally
years.
in there. Hopefully, maybe I'll
I've been
show the
saying
verse in a second. But it says
anything
latest
connected
data
to
from
the internet
financial software
can
provider
be
Advance
manipulated.
uncovers a rising concern for employee privacy as an uptake in futuristic human
And all this
implantation
futuristic
technology
stuff
is
can
set for
be
the workplace
manipulated.
sooner than many anticipated. Speaking to more than 5,000 senior decision makers, the findings reveal that nearly half, 47% of financial leaders predict employee microchips and other human
You know why they're
technology
going to use those
implants
chips
to
for,
be
Terry?
in
The ultimate
workplace
goal?
use by 2030, along
Ultimate goal with
with
those chips
32%
is
of
for voting.
financiers overall.
If you don't have the chip to go
The
to the
revelation
voting
follows
poll and
controversy in
swipe
the
your
US,
hand,
in which a company
put in your
microchipped
vote,
50 of its employees,
that's the only way
leading
you're
to at
going to
least
count your
11
vote
states
is
to
by
ban
the chip of
employee
your hand.
microchipping at the time
And
of
you
the
put the chip
writing.
in your hand
So,
and you
okay,
go to
it's
your vote
banned,
and then you
right,
swipe
in the state. But guess
to
what can
accept your vote.
override that?
That's how they
Guess what
know
can
that you
overwrite
voted.
a state
That's
ban?
how they're going to cut down on voter fraud.
AI had state
But that,
regulations,
not knowing
and
this
they
could
had
be
state
tampered with.
regulations in every state.
Those chips, all
But
those
guess
chips
what?
could be
When Trump
manipulated.
signed an
They
executive
connected
order that
to the
he did
internet
away
can be
with, this is just
manipulated.
in December, did away with
Any
all
chip can be
regulations on
manipulated.
AI. They will now come under the government, and there's really no guardrails to it anymore. So all it takes is a little executive order, and it's federally. Everyone has to do it. Don't let the bans or, they're going to try to fight legislation on it, distract you. Or that's a psyop. That's to make them think that they're doing something for you. It's the same thing with like Don Lemon's arrest. Like, is he really going to go to jail? Is anything going to really
No, he's not
happen?
going to jail.
Nothing happens to
They're not
any
going
of
to
these
hold them
people,
accountable.
right?
They
So
don't
don't
hold
let that
nobody
fool you. You got to
accountable.
really read through the weeds and then also see what their behavior patterns have been. We can no longer be fooled by just their words and their movement at the moment. We have to look at the patterns of what is to come. And that only comes by God's wisdom. So it says, the move towards the move toward innovative technologies is a growing trend, and one that the financial sector seems keen to set into motion. In addition to surveillance measures, advanced research discovered that businesses are putting money behind new tech, as 40% of survey respondents state that their organization's leadership is prioritizing technology investment at present. AI technology is gaining more responsibility and will be used to make critical business decisions by 2030. It says, according to over half, 55% of financial CEOs and MDs. A third, 33% of financial leaders believe AI will replace at least 50% of manual work. Guys, this is by 2030. What did I tell you? So a lot of people think blue collar is safe. No, we're seeing white collar is going to be replaced. I walked you through that video of what that plan is. Okay. They've let us know. You just got to dig through it and understand it and try to find that information. But when they said jobs are going to be replaced, and actually they are way ahead of schedule of jobs being replaced by AI.
Yep.
Okay. This is what's happening.
It's happening every day.
It says, however, financiers are not looking forward to this change, as only 19% feel robots and AI-based technologies will positively transform the workplace.
And you can be thinking you're talking to someone real, and you're not. You're talking to
they believe that this will happen, but they're not happy about it. Only 19% think that this will be a positive change. There's no way this is a positive change.
Man.
With talk of microchipping and additional surveillance only set to cause more concern, Advanced Chief People Officer Alex Arundel explained how additional surveillance measures could negatively impact the working environment. Employers need to consider the proportionality and necessity of new technologies, weighing convenience against the impact new additions might have on employee morale. They don't care about employee morale. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else. Okay, now let me take you back to this. Because I'm going to move this over a little bit so you guys can see this better. Oops. Is this not wild? So this is the original thing. It says a bill introduced in the Washington state legislature would ban employees from requiring or pressuring workers to be microchipped, a practice lawmakers want to prohibit before it ever becomes an issue. But this is the thing. This is the thing. Like I said, it can be reversed, any type of ban. Will this even go through? But also, I want you to think about it. If you don't get a chip, well, they're going to find some other reason to let you go and find somebody else who really needs a job, because the job market is very difficult right now. People are getting let go. They've been at a job 20 years. Okay. And we're seeing massive layoffs. So people need money. They need a job. They have us struggling in every facet of life, squeezing us from every possible angle. And so there's going to be somebody else who's willing to take it. Like Mr. Beast just did a video, so excited, promoting Neuralink to millions, hundreds of millions of children all over the world, and people all over the world influenced by that did a whole thing.
I don't watch Mr.
Now that he's
Beast.
partnered with
Fuck that fucker.
what's his name?
He's part of the CIA. I don't trust Mr.
Not the
Beast.
Rothschilds, the Rockefeller.
I don't watch him.
Foundation.
Period.
If you don't
None
know,
of his material.
Mr. Beast. So
If you can't pick up like
so
his energy,
we already said any other thing about what
then
this
I don't
was
know,
about.
man. A lot of people
I'm
need
just
to
trying to
jump
get
off
to
my
the
channel.
part and see. Okay, look at this. This is the one I wanted to show. The Carnegie Council for Ethics in
Nope, they don't
International
know.
Affairs
I
reported that
listen.
internationally more than
When I said make
50,000 people have
accountability
elected to
great
receive
again, I
microchip
was not
implants
lying about
to
that.
serve as their
We
swipe
even have a
keys,
shirt. Tyson
credit cards, and
made
more.
a shirt.
The organization noted that the technology is especially popular in Sweden, where chip implants are more widely accepted for gym access, e-tickets on transit systems, and
Yeah,
to
I'm not.
store
I'm.
emergency
I
contact
don't care for that
information.
dude. I don't like. He's very like.
Okay, so this is
something screaming
legislation that
foul,
is similar to
you know?
laws passed in
Don't trust them.
Arkansas, California, Missouri, Montana, Nevada, New Hampshire, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Utah, Wisconsin, Indiana, Alabama, and Mississippi. So it's just, it's just going on and on about this entire thing. I've actually played wait, what are they talking about Neuralink? Yeah, they're talking about him ramping up in this same article, ramping up the Neuralink brain computer interface chips in 2026. He envisions technology helping people with neurological conditions while eventually enabling humans to interact directly with computers. Okay, the company plans to make the surgical implantation process nearly fully automated to scale the procedure. So this is interesting. Now, this was supposed to be, I guess, brought up on the 14th. I have to look and see what went on with it. But overall, I think I had no idea that this was taking place. I've played the videos of people in Sweden and Denmark and other places that are getting microchip, and they just think it's so great. Just completely no awareness of the word of God, no awareness of the Bible. And speaking of that, let me just show you this last thing. So in Daniel chapter 2, we get a lot of in the book of Daniel about biblical end times, biblical prophecy. Now, King Nebuchadnezzar had a dream and he needed it interpreted. So this is what you're finding in this chapter. But I want to take you to, he's talking about these different kingdoms. It was this huge statue, it was made of gold and silver and bronze. And then finally, in the last kingdom that it's describing, all right, it goes from gold, it goes from silver, it goes from bronze. Listen to what happens as he's describing this in verse 39. After you, another kingdom will arise, inferior to yours. Next, a third kingdom, one of bronze, will rule over the whole earth. Finally, there will be a fourth kingdom, strong as iron, for iron breaks and smashes everything. And as iron breaks things to pieces, so it will crush and break all the others. Okay. Just as you saw that the feet and toes were partly of baked clay and partly of iron, I don't know why I can't say iron, so this will be a divided kingdom. Yet it will have some strength of iron in it, even as you saw iron mixed with clay, as the toes were partly iron and partly clay. So this kingdom would be partly strong and partly brittle. And just as you saw the iron mixed with baked clay, so the people will be a mixture and will not remain united. any more than iron mixes with clay. So I can go on and on. We'd have to do an in-depth study, but it's believed that iron is, what is it? It's representing, okay? It is believed it's representing technology, and clay, human. We were formed from the dust. We were formed from clay, right? He is the, what is it? God is a potter. He has formed us out of clay. So we are clay, and the technology is iron, and it's going to mix together. How do you mix them together, right? Not just some parts of it, but how does iron like completely mix inside of clay? Well, we get that answer now because we know it's AI, this technology that will be in our bodies, meaning the iron mixing with the clay. Is that flowing for you? Understand. So this is why this is important for biblical prophecy, because the things that even, again, I want to emphasize, we have never seen a time like this before. We have never seen with employers wanting to do these types of things. Like, why? There is absolutely no need for it, guys. I'm just every day, but I want to show you this last thing. Of course, Real Melanie King. Let me make this a little smaller for you so you can see it better. I stopped promoting it for a while. Didn't have some new products, but now I do. So this is realmelanieking.com. The link is in the description box, but I have a lot of new merch. Jesus is King, my Hope shirt, God, Family, and Country, Faith Over Fear, different parts of my Jesus is King line. I have this one I really love. It says, oh, I don't know that did that. It says, normal is not coming back, but Jesus is. All right. And then we have some sweatshirts, double-sided things, lots of mugs, the redacted government document, everything is fine. Trust the government. We the people. And I have things for men and women, okay, alike. And there's a lot more in the store once you dig into it, but that you want to support the show, support what we're doing.
I like her. Look into it because I really, really like her show, and I like that Jesus is King. But let's keep it moving because I'm only going to be here till like 10:30, so I'm trying to squeeze in an hour and 15 minutes. Here we go.
当然，股市留一步给你，是要见你的本性。
What the hell is going on here? What the hell?
Elon Musk has been named in the millions of Epstein documents, videos, and photos that were released by the DOJ today, and it makes certainly for a scandalous headline. So what did Elon Musk do with Jeffrey Epstein? We're going to break it down here. Look at this. Elon Musk asked Jeffrey Epstein about pedophiles' wild island parties and when to attend them. For Elon, who's a man who has never shied away from talking about Jeffrey Epstein, either as an aside, a joke, a tweet, even tweeted that Donald Trump wasn't releasing the Epstein files because he was in them. That was, of course, rock bottom with the Elon Musk-Donald Trump relationship. That tweet went thermonuclear. Elon has since deleted it and seemingly apologized to Trump. They're back on good terms. Elon Musk asking about Bill Gates in the Epstein files. This was at the height of Doge when Bill Gates was attacking Elon Musk. Listen to this.
Comments that Bill Gates made the other day, which, and I know that you called him.
Yeah, he's a huge liar.
I know you've said that already.
That's terrible.
Wondered,
also,
and I'm just.
Who does Bill Gates think he is to make comments about the welfare of children, given that he frequented Jeffrey Epstein?
Okay, well, he said he regrets those, and he spent a lot of his own money on philanthropy around the world over the years. My question to you is: have you looked?
All right, that's a roast and a good one from Elon Musk, and an accurate one, by the way, because the documents do prove that Bill Gates is the world's biggest scumbag, and that's really not anything that you can debate now. Listen, Bill Gates having affairs, with other women is why his relationship and marriage was destroyed. His wife will tell you that. She straight up went on late night TV and said, I can't be intimate with this guy because I don't trust him. Right. And then said that he loved Jeffrey Epstein. They were such good friends. Well, listen, here's why they were friends. Jeffrey Epstein says Bill Gates caught a sexually transmitted disease from young Russian girls that he procured for him, then suggested he was secretly slipping Melinda antibiotics. Oh, no. Along with other pretty despicable claims that seem to, at the very least, align with what we publicly know about Bill Gates with young Russian bridge players and so on. So all I'm trying to say here is that what Elon Musk was saying in this exchange certainly makes a lot of sense about Bill Gates and his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. But what about Elon Musk's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein? Let's go ahead and read here. The world's richest man, Elon Musk, emailed pedophile Jeffrey Epstein about what day would be suitable to visit the financier's famous island for a wild party. What day night would be the wildest party on your island? Musk emailed Epstein in 2012. The Tesla CEO's inquiry was in a response to an email that Epstein sent Musk asking how many people would we be able to helicopter to your island. Musk's cozy relationship with the deceased pedophile was unveiled on Friday. It hadn't previously been known, writes the Daily Mail here. Is that true exactly? Well, let's go ahead and look at the emails here, right? And the reporting. Elon Musk appears in latest trove of Epstein files. He previously denied any involvement. Here we go. More exchanges between Elon Musk and Epstein in a new batch, says this Politico senior legal reporter. I'll send a helicopter for you, says Jeffrey Epstein. Will be in St. Bart's over the holidays. When's a good time to visit? You can see here that that Elon Musk and Jeffrey Epstein were writing back and forth. Ew. And people are reporting on this. I'll send a helicopter for you. Musk has stated that the exchange would be in the British Virgin Islands over the holidays. British Virgin Islands are about 15 miles away from Jeffrey Epstein's
I don't trust him.
Predator Island.
Never will.
So people are obviously going out and reporting this. Elon Musk is getting dunked on over this, right? This is the famous deleted tweet trying to drop the big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. And that's the reason they haven't been made public. Have a nice day. You know, you can see that this was seen by millions of people. Trump to Elon, Uno reverse. Yes.
This guy.
So what is the truth exactly? Do you remember Elon Musk? When you get a good scandal, call it Elon Gate. That's right. This is what Elon Musk says. People calling it clickbait, and we'll go over why I see a lawsuit coming for the Daily Mail over this. Wow. If there's ever a scandal about me, please call it Elon Gate. Elon Musk. All right. So what is the scandal here exactly? Well, if you go through the full email exchange, what you'll find, not just the snippets that are posted, what you'll find is that Elon Musk seems to be going back and forth in good humor with Jeffrey Epstein about a potential time to visit their island, the island. That is, a matter of fact here. But every single time Elon Musk demurs and says, I can't do it, I'm too busy, I can't do it, I'm too busy.
Yeah,
There is no physical evidence, zero physical evidence that two ever met, two ever had anything in common, ever did any business, that Elon Musk was ever on the island at all. Zero physical evidence. Of course, there's lots of physical evidence that Bill Clinton and hundreds of other people were on that island or on the planes. There's photos of Bill Clinton with young girls in his lap on the plane. So what do the reporters say about this?
And where's
more
Clinton?
Exchanges with Musk and Epstein. Here's my takeaway. This is from the stodgy Politico legal reporter who would love to destroy Musk's career. The Epstein-Elon exchanges, actually that Epstein repeatedly tried to get Elon to visit him, offered him helicopters and planes and everything to get Elon to his island. Elon kept blowing him off, saying that he was too busy. And there's nothing in what I've seen so far that says that they actually ever physically met. There were a lot of unrequited asks by Epstein. So Epstein was running his op. He already had the blackmail on the richest man on earth, right? He already had blackmail on Bill Gates here.
There you go.
So time to move your way down the chain to Elon Musk. He was running the op. He was running the intel op. But here is, again, Politico senior reporter saying this isn't true. Now, here's more evidence that this actually isn't even a new allegation. Look at this. In this older article, you can see that Elon Musk is named as somebody who Jeffrey Epstein requested to go to the island. But again, here is Forbes saying, nah, this meeting never happened. There were requests that Elon Musk could go to the island, but it didn't happen. Elon Musk has also commented on this. Here we go. From 2025, September 27th, 2025. Shame on Sky News for this utterly misleading headline. Anyone pushing this false narrative deserves complete contempt. Epstein tried to get me to go to his island. I refused.
I don't trust Elon.
Yet they named me even before Prince Andrew, who did visit the island. So Elon Musk saying, I have nothing to hide. And even got a big fat community note here. Elon Musk, Prince Andrew, named in latest Epstein files release. So this isn't even new news. So if you see it in your timeline, it's not new news. Here we go. Both names appear. Circumstances are vastly different. Elon name appear as a possible scheduling item only. No evidence they ever met. Prince Andrew appears in Epstein's flight logs and settled a civil case regarding sexual misconduct that cost tens of millions of dollars to the royal family. So there it is. Don't be duped by the fake news. That's all. And then it's Elon Musk who's straight up saying that the reason why so many of these billionaire donors support Kamala is because they don't want the files to be released.
January 6th, protesters in prison and not one person on the Epstein client list.
Will that ever come out, do you think?
You know, I think part of why Kamala is getting so much support is that if Trump wins, that Epstein client list is going to become public.
Yes.
It kind of is.
And some of those billionaires
very bad day for Bill
Kamala
Gates
are terrified of that outcome.
Yeah. Do you think Reid Hoffman's uncomfortable?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Gates.
And Gates.
Yeah.
He was right. Elon was right. So until you show me physical evidence of Trump wrongdoing or Elon wrongdoing, then all of it is just salacious rumors and gossip column garbage. You're going to have to bring the physical evidence. And I don't see it. But it's good to see my boy cleared.
Well, hopefully there's not like redactions, a whole bunch of redactions, because that's what they tend to do when they release this type of information. You just get a whole bunch of pages all black. Like the whole page will be black ink. And it's like, what the fuck? But quick note, I did go shopping today. I ended up going to Walmart. Out of all the places I went to, because I said I was going to go to 4 places, and I did go to all 4 places, only 2 places had items. Walmart was my first stop and was the best stop of the day. I ended up picking up the 30-year anniversary, the celebration kit up here. You can see it in the front of the table. That's the 30-year anniversary box there. And I also picked up Ascending Heroes. I got 1 pack here. And then at the other end, I have another pack in the dark over there. Actually, I could turn on the lights here so you could possibly see it. Nah, you can't really see it. But it's there. I also got one back there. You can see back here. That's Ascended Heroes. I ended up getting 3 packs of it, which I got very lucky. Walmart was so cool because they know me, because you're only supposed to get 1 per person, but I knew the cashiers and I got extras. So being a good person, and Walmart employees are pretty cool, the one I go to. So they see me all the time, so I always say hi to them. And I ended up picking up 2 of these boxes of the 30-year anniversary. There's one on the top, and then there's another mega battle box that I picked up at Walgreens up in the corner over there. You can't really see it because I have it in the dark. You know, I'm kind of like in mourning right now because of Catherine O'Hara passing away at the age of 71 today. Really has broken my heart, because she was one of my favorite actresses. And the fact that I'm not going to be able to see her in Beetlejuice, the 3rd part of Beetlejuice, is devastating me. But she did die in the movie Beetlejuice. So they can continue on with her being like dead because she is truly dead. So I mean the movie can progress forward. But man, it's just thinking about it, it's just sad, you know. It's just sad. Like the mom from Home Alone. Like I miss Kevin when she screamed like that. It was like such a iconic scene, a scene that is edged in your mind for like forever. And now, you know, she's not with us anymore, and it breaks my heart. It truly breaks my heart. Um, it sucks, man. All right, let's keep it moving because we still got more to watch. So let me set this up here. But I am going. Oh, also before I continue, I am going to open up the Ascended Heroes, the pack that's in the back there. Because I got the setup here with the Charmander and the other one over here. I got another pack back here because I did pick up 3, and one of them was to be open on the show. So I'm gonna do a series on my shorts, and it's gonna be a 3-part series because there's 3 packs, and I like to take my time opening the packs and showing the cards. And I do it in silence because it's a ASMR type of, because I want people to listen and to use their senses of seeing without me interrupting and talking over the cards. You know what I mean? I don't want, I want it to be a ASMR type of like on my channel with Pokemon. And I am going to be opening that pack back there. And there's 3 packs. So there's going to be a 3-part series. And I'm going to open the first, second, and third in 3 videos. Hopefully we get a hit. I'm please, the Pokemon gods, give me a hit that I could be happy about. They're very hit and miss with them. I've been watching YouTube already, and the pull rates are pretty bad on it so far. I seen people get lucky. I seen some videos where people were like getting some really nice stuff. And I'm like, please make me one of them. I got 3 packs, but I'm not opening 2 of them. 2 of them I'm saving, and I'm opening up that one back there. But I love Pokemon. I had no idea she died. Yeah, she died. She passed away. She was also in Home Alone and Home Alone 2. She did a lot, man. She was one of my favorite actresses. I mean, I truly loved her in Beetlejuice. Like the first one, when she did the dance and she's like doing like, and she's like, it's just sad that she's not with us, man. And I'm happy they did a part 2 to Beetlejuice, that she did die in that movie. In Beetlejuice, she was she got bit by the poison snake, the snake that bit her, and she ended up dying and going to the afterworld. And you know, if you haven't seen Beetlejuice, I think that's a movie you should watch this weekend in support of Catherine O'Hara passing away today at the age of 71. Truly disturbing for me. My childhood coming up, growing up, and watching her and watching Home Alone, many times watching Home Alone and Home Alone 2. Especially Home Alone 1, because 2 of my favorite actors were in that, like her and John Candy in the same scene together when they were driving back. And he was like, polka, polka. Like, that's one of my favorite scenes of Home Alone. One of my favorite actors, both of them in one scene that will never happen ever again. And now they're both in a better place. It truly it touches my heart, you know. It makes me feel bad in a ways. Okay, let me set this up and we're gonna continue watching. Ooh, more Benny Johnson. Here we go. It's let me turn off. I don't want the music on there.
What's up, guys? Benny. The DOJ woke up today and chose violence. First, they indicted Don Lemon and arrested him, and then they released all of the Epstein files, or at least millions upon millions of files, photographs, and videos that everybody is still going through right now. It's going to take a long time. But they've done it, and we've been looking at them, and there are some very, very juicy and very interesting things in these files. Like, for instance, there's a considerable number of emails about Bill Gates and what a monster Bill Gates is. Now, Bill Gates denies what's in these emails, but they say that Bill Gates destroyed his marriage by giving his wife an STD because he kept sleeping with Russian hookers.
Oh my God.
Jeffrey Epstein writes.
Damn.
And then he had to get Bill Gates a bunch of special drugs in order to try and fix his STD. Maybe this is why Bill Gates is paying Jeffrey Epstein. This is Jeffrey Epstein's desk, and you can see a dollar here signed by Bill Gates. I was wrong.
What?
Was that a wager that he wouldn't get an STD? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's not up to me. We're just trying to interpret them as quickly as we can and to give you all of the important information out of this.
That's what the left wanted, right?
Files.
They wanted the dump.
See, ladies and gentlemen,
release the
obviously,
Epstein files. Here you go.
Headlines already. Today, we are looking now further at the DOJ's files, and you can see pages like this one that include an enormous number of allegations against Donald Trump. Very lurid child exploitation allegations, the details of which I'm not going to read to you. You're welcome to read them all on the internet. I'm showing you this at the Department of Justice website right now. So this is the DOJ website. This is the official one. It is, well, what you get when you search for President Trump and you find, again, grotesque predation allegations that were called into a tip line. All right. Libs online are going through and saying, look, they got him. Epstein files feature numerous allegations made against Donald Trump. And there was also a hoax. There was literally a fake news story that the DOJ was deleting all of these files. It's not true. Here they are live right now on the DOJ website. They're all gone. They've all been deleted. That's not true. Here they are live and active right now. There's the data set searching for Trump. Again, you're welcome to go read all of this. You're welcome to see and observe and Google anything that you want, but you need to also lock in to the column that was deleted here by the Midas Touch morons about Trump and these allegations, because they're deleting a column for a specific reason. That the person making these allegations is deemed not credible and has a history of mandatory psychiatric evaluations. Complainant was spoken to and deemed not credible. Additional research showed 3 separate incidents involving police watch and requested mandatory psychiatric evaluations. And so people lost their minds. What they did was they opened season on Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump allegations, and then a bunch of insane people called in from Australia, other random countries. Here you go. Here's how it works. I stated previously these allegations came from random people, including in Australia. Again, people are posting these deceptively, editing out the most important part, that these cases are deemed not credible, secondhand, or invalid. These entries are details of calls made to the tip line, so any crackpot can just call the tip line. And I think this is what is critically important in all of this, is that you need to understand that the reason that Democrats have wanted these files to be released is because they know that any sociopath, any type of jackwagon can call in and say whatever lurid or horrific or grotesquely detailed predation allegations, and it'll get recorded in the files. And then dishonest people can clip out that these are not true allegations or credible allegations. They actually come from very broken people that want attention and need psychiatric help. They'll clip that out, and then you can create a fake news cycle and give people what they want. But that's not true. And the Trump administration, to their credit, is publishing this stuff, but they're also publishing with the actual conclusion of and the response of the team. here.
Now,
which I think is critical. Here's the Todd
you always
Blanchard,
gotta
the
come
Deputy
with,
Attorney General.
with receipts. You
In none
know
of
what
these
I mean?
communications, even when
That's how
doing his
you
best to
always
disparage
the
President Trump,
set
did
you
Epstein
free.
suggest President Trump had done
You know what
anything
I mean?
criminal or inappropriate to any of his victims.
That's what I say.
That's
Always
also what
receipts.
Ghislaine Maxwell says. That's also what Virginia Roberts
You
says.
never know.
Virginia Roberts was someone who was
It comes
stolen
back.
from Donald Trump's
You gotta, like,
Mar-a-Lago
clean
to
yourself.
go work for Epstein. Trump has talked about this quite a bit, quite often. She's
And I
also
have
one of the
never-
main whistleblowers in the Jeffrey Epstein saga. And she has said dozens of times that Trump did nothing wrong. That's in sworn testimony, court testimony, and so on. And in her book. Of course, she has also talked about Bill Clinton. Trump talked about Bill Clinton, by the way. Be a strange way to start
a lot
a
of
political
stuff
career to go
comes,
talk
but
about all of
media
your
is gonna spin it
crimes
their
if
way.
you are such a monster.
You know what I mean?
And you did so many monstrous things with Jeffrey Epstein. Why would you do this on stage?
Bill Clinton.
10 years ago.
Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of problems.
Why would you tell on yourself there? Nobody really knew who Jeffrey Epstein was at that time. That was like in 2015. That's this clip. Same.
Raised the question of Jeffrey Epstein in your remarks about in the Q&A.
Well, I think he's got a problem. I mean,
What do you think the problem will be?
I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask
Wow.
Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it. The island was an absolute cesspool.
And Trump always knew how to play this hand. Obviously, it got under his skin that everybody was accusing him of wrongdoing. And that's exactly, 'cause Trump knew that this was going to happen. As soon as the loons knew that money could be made, they went crazy with allegations. This one said Trump had calendar girls at party at Mar-a-Lago. This is wild and total tabloid worthy.
That's called entrapment.
Obviously. The Epstein file has gossip emails blasting Trump, but no dirt. Nothing has been found so far in any of the emails that point to any wrongdoing of Trump. Stuff like this is why you don't like releasing millions of documents. Morons are able to splice it up and ignore critical parts. You retards missed kind of the important point. Back up again. DOJ has killed this leak. Link says Jake Tapper. No, it is actually live. There, I clicked on it live right now. So, what are you like? What are you to make of this? I'm going to say what I've always said. And here's, by the way, the attorney for all the Epstein victims. This is the guy with the massive class action case with all the Epstein victims, saying Trump's the only dude that actually picked up the phone and tried to help me put Epstein away. He's the only guy that called me. What are you to make of this if you are of sound mind? If you're of sound mind, you're going to sit here and say, well, hold on. You're telling me that the evidence to destroy President Trump was sitting in a file that Democrats controlled with the deep state. For 20 years, they sat on this evidence with whatever photo or whatever video that they have of Trump doing whatever criminal thing. They were literally sitting on it and they didn't use it. You're going to tell me that? They shot the guy in the head. They charge him with crimes, 450 years in prison, fake crimes. They release the Access Hollywood tape. They impeach him. They do everything. They raid his house, but they don't just like release the photo or video that they have of Trump and Epstein that would destroy him. No, it's like, I'm not dumb. I was born. I wasn't born yesterday. I'm not stupid. Okay. I'd like, you got to have to show me something for me to believe. Now, this is something, they're releasing all these videos and photos of Bill Clinton, in hot tubs with these chicks, swimming with these chicks. The chicks are sitting on his lap. He's wearing these creepy shirts with Epstein, the spy who shagged me shirts. There's a lot on Clinton in here. That's a fact. Is there enough for a criminal case? Well, Clinton won't testify, so he's going to be criminally referred anyway. There you go. Now you're cooking. I'm sorry. It's not gonna. It ain't Trump. You're gonna have to show me something. You're gonna have to show me something than a bunch of
they have to show like more
making up stuff on a
to say
tip line because they're off their meds. That's what they got. That's what they were able to get. Okay?
Well, where the hell's Clinton?
That's your update.
Yeah, Terry.
Let me know what you think in the comment section. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
Ben is skipping out. He's not in the country at the moment. Leave your message at the beep. Listen, bitch, where the fuck are you? Get your fucking ass back to America and speak upon your bullshit again, Bill. Bill, again, First with fucking Monica Lewinsky, I did not have sex or it was sexual relations with that woman. 2 hours later, damn, I did bang her. I nutted all over her dress. It was one of the best times of my life. What the fuck? He didn't even get in trouble for that. He didn't. They didn't even do this to him. They didn't do that. They didn't even do shit to him. They let him go, and he was whoring it up in the Epstein Island right after his presidency. Whoring it up. Where Hillary was, she was whoring it up too because she loves the fish. She loves the fish, especially piranhas. Ooh, she loves piranhas. But I got my Poke Pack here. This is the Ascended Heroes, and I'm gonna be opening this. Let's see if we can get a zoom in, if it lets me. There you go. It's nice and slow. Here it is, Ascended Heroes, and I'm gonna be opening this tonight. It's gonna be on my shorts, in my shorts, YouTube shorts, not literally in my shorts, but we're gonna be opening this up tonight. And this one's a Ghastly, the promo card. It's a regular basic promo. And you got some stickers. You got some nice little Pokemon stickers and 3 packs of Ascended Heroes. Let's see if we get a hit in this. This is the only one I'm going to open. It's going to be part of a 3-part series. So if you're into the Pokemon, stay tuned to my shorts. And you're going to see me hopefully pull something out. Hopefully we get to pull something out because I've been hearing crazy stories already with this this set coming out. A lot of people already opening it, and they're not getting really good pulls, and they're bitching and whining. So I say, here's some cheese for your wine, and let's keep it moving because we got more to watch and very little time. So set this up and let's watch.
News overseas now. Tonight, the Trump administration is imposing new sanctions on Iran's interior minister, accusing him of repressing nationwide protests that have challenged Tehran's theocratic government.
Oh yeah, you guys have it? If you have it, let me know.
Iran's nuclear program and what U.S.
I'm collecting all the Pokemon that I can get.
Here's Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin.
Especially the Ascended
New
Heroes.
satellite images at 2 key nuclear sites in Iran show the Iranians have rebuilt roofs over 2 buildings damaged during the U.S. and Israeli strikes on Isfahan and
Oh wow,
Natanz
look at
last
that.
year, as the president gives Tehran a deadline.
We have a large armada.
Do you guys do you guys have them still? I hope you guys do, man. I will go over there.
Even larger
We'll have
than we
another
have
lunch.
in Venezuela.
CENTCOM continues to
We'll
build
have-
up
we'll have
forces
more
in
lunch.
an effort
We'll have
at
lunch on
gunboat
me.
diplomacy. Osprey Marine aircraft have
We're gonna
arrived in
eat
Oman.
something.
A squadron of F-15s are seen on tarmacs in Jordan. Still en route,
Yeah, it came out today.
F-35 stealth fighters,
You might have
air
had
refueling
them.
tankers, and air defense systems.
Hopefully we'll make
So
a deal.
let me
If we
send
do
you a
make a deal,
picture of
that's
it.
good. If we
I'm
don't
gonna send
make
it
a
to you
deal,
on
we'll see
Discord
what happens.
so you can
The
see it better.
protests, which raged earlier this month, have quieted for now, as regime
I can show you
opponents remain too
what it
terrified
looks
to leave
like.
their homes. Iranian activist Moj Madara recently spoke with Iranians still in hiding.
The internet is up at most 20 minutes a day. And for the most part, they're being listened to by the regime. So people are stuck inside, for all intents and purposes, house arrest. They're now starting to get the news that the numbers are 36,000, upwards of 40, 50,000. There has been north of 14 to 15 executions that have already taken place.
Iran's foreign minister with a message for Washington on a visit to Turkey.
We are more prepared than before the 12-day war, and just like in that period, we responded to aggressors with strength. It will be the same this time.
After Iran's IRGC Navy announced it would hold live fire military exercises on February 1st and 2nd in the Strait of Hormuz, CENTCOM responded tonight, urging Iran not to impede freedom of navigation in the strait. Brett?
Hannity here. Hey, click here to
Wow.
subscribe to Fox News
It's gonna
YouTube
be
page.
something gonna big happen. I'm telling you, full moon's coming up. Usually that's when it's go time around the full moon. We'll see. Let's keep it moving.
Well,
when you head outside today, you know, because it just hits you right away, that freezing feeling.
Yeah, not only the cold air, but the wind making it feel even colder. And tonight there's going to be a bit of a trade-off. The wind diminishes.
No, I don't
and
think
that
that
will actually allow the air
the
temperature
Sunday
drop
Heroes,
even
though.
lower. So we're going to see the coldest
It kind of
low
looks like
temperature
I'm
so
looking at
far
the
this
picture.
season come up this weekend. Of course, last weekend we saw the coldest high temperatures as we only peaked in the teens Saturday and Sunday. So we'll get down to the record levels coming up in just a moment. Meanwhile, Sunday, a dry day as a coastal storm passes offshore, but a first alert weather day because the wind could gust 25 to 35 miles an hour and the air is still going to be cold. So wind chill values, single digits, sub-zero at different points of the day on Sunday. Otherwise, our next big thing, next week, the deep freeze that will last in its entirety, about 10 days, will finally come to an end as temperatures head back closer to average into the mid-30s. Of course, we've been talking all week long about the coastal storm that will develop over the weekend. Here's the latest from the European model showing throughout the day on Sunday, clipping southeastern parts of New England. So really focused here on the Cape and Islands. We could see some flakes flying near the Rhode Island border communities here in Connecticut, but we're not expecting any sort of accumulation. And then the storm pulls away Sunday night into Monday morning. Here is the American, the GFS model showing a very similar track, and that is offshore where the Cape and Islands, again, get clipped. And that is basically it. We'll otherwise see a blend of sun and clouds. What we'll experience here in Connecticut is that wind on the backside of that. Meanwhile, across the Northeast here on this Friday evening, we are enjoying a clear sky. We're cold here in southern New England, but we're cold region-wide. In fact, we do get a little bit colder tonight.
I sent you the picture.
Forecast lows as the wind diminishes, 5 to 10, perhaps 10 to 15 degrees below zero across inland Connecticut between
Wow,
0
it's gonna
and
be
5
cold in
along the
your
shore. So
area.
if the breeze remains
Eric,
up,
look at
then
that,
these
12
temperatures will feel
below
a little bit
in your
colder,
area.
but if the wind were to entirely diminish, given the snow cover and the clear sky, these numbers may go a little bit lower. These could be a little bit on the conservative side.
Even
so right now,
lower.
we're forecasting temps to bottom out within 5 degrees of the record low for the 31st of January, which happens to be 12 degrees below from 1948. The all-time record low for the Hartford area, 26 degrees below. That was back on January 22nd. All right, so Bridgeport, 3 degrees is the record low, and that is what we are forecasting there. Tomorrow, otherwise,
What did he
good amount of
say,
sunshine through the morning, some
22nd?
scattered clouds as we head towards sunset. Highs tomorrow, 15 to 20 inland, between 20 and 25 along the 95 corridor. Sunday,
I don't remember
some
it
intervals
being
of
that
sun,
damn cold.
otherwise an abundance of cloud cover. Temperatures reach the 20 to 25 degree range, but it is going to feel colder. Wind chill values in the morning,
Yeah,
thanks
20,
to that coastal
22nd.
storm
I don't know
offshore,
what the fuck that meant.
near below zero by the afternoon.
Yeah, you guys
between
gonna be
0
cold up
and
there.
10 above. So in our first alert 7-day forecast from Monday, decreasing intensity of the wind, mostly sunny. And look at this, high temperatures back closer to average into the mid-30s Tuesday and Wednesday. Overnight lows still in the single digits and teens. And as we head Thursday into Friday, say lower to mid-30s.
Well,
but as
yeah,
well,
if you
as
have
of
it
now,
still,
next
let
week
me know,
looking dry
Terry.
and storm-free.
All right,
You know, you
Mark,
can always
thank
hit
you
me
so
up on
much. And
Discord. I always respond quick on Discord. That's one thing that I'm very attentive to is when I get messages on Discord. That's the best way to get me. But I sent you the pictures so you could check it out for yourself. And I'm looking forward to opening and ripping this pack tonight. I put here on the side. It's basically more to get like more attention to the channel because I would like to get 1,000 subscribers, you know, by the end of the year. And I really got to hustle and put out some good content for people to watch and be more creative, which I am doing, especially like at the end of the shorts. I'm coming up with some really cool 3D graphics of the card that I pulled, you know, the last card. And yeah, that's basically it. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I believe we could do it. I know we could do it. We just gotta get it in touch with the right audience, and I think the shorts will help us definitely achieve that goal. So let's go ahead and continue because we do have more to watch. It's been a great night so far. Let's keep it going. Try to keep it going. Oh no, this is sad news. Oh God.
Now, with a A girls' ice hockey trip to Colorado ends in tragedy. A father from Southern California killed, others hurt.
No.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Vara in for Carolyn tonight. The crash happened this morning on a snow-covered road about an hour outside Denver. Authorities say the team's van was hit by a snowplow and sent down an embankment.
Oh my
NBC
God.
4's Darsha Phillips is live in Valencia with reaction. Darsha.
Yeah, Kathy, and tonight we're learning more about exactly how that crash occurred. According to Colorado officials, the snowplow driver lost control, burst through the median into oncoming traffic, hit a pickup truck, and then slammed into that Sprinter van with the girls' ice hockey team players on board, along with their families. And then that van tumbled down an embankment before finally coming to a rest. The hockey community gathering at the Cube Ice Rink in Valencia after learning players from Santa Clarita Flyers, a girls' ice hockey team, was involved in a deadly crash on their way to a tournament in Littleton, Colorado.
It's kind of heartbreaking to hear what happened, especially to like a team that like we've known and like I've seen and all this, and it's crazy to hear that it could have been us, it could have been a different team, but it's very tragic what happened, and I'm sad to hear that like someone passed away from it.
The president of the hockey club telling NBC4 that players and families in the 12 and under team were traveling in a Sprinter van when the crash occurred. The driver was the father of one of the girls on the team. He did not survive the crash.
Oh my
This is the kind
God.
of thing you hear about on the news, but it's
You're on the
never
news.
someone you know or people you know, and there's a feeling of what a tragedy, but when it hits home, it just completely knocked me back, knocked the wind out of me.
Colorado State Patrol says the crash happened just before 9 o'clock Thursday morning and involved 4 cars, including the Sprinter van and a snowplow. One child was flown to the hospital in critical condition. 3 others were taken to the hospital by ambulance, as were 3 adults. Team officials say a total of 15 girls are on the team, but it's unclear how many players were traveling in the van. The hockey community in Santa Clarita now mourning this tragic event, hoping to support the team and their families the best they can.
Just completely devastated. I can't imagine what they're going through and what's happening to them. My heart goes out to them as deeply as it can. It's the worst thing that any parent could want. And I feel so deeply for these families, for these kids, and anything we can do for them, we're going to do if it's in our power.
And the president of the hockey club believes that there were 3 players on the team that was on the van along with their families. Reporting live tonight from Valencia, I'm Darsha Phillips, NBC4 News.
Wow. That's so sad. Let's keep it moving.
New tonight, a Houston mother says she and her daughter woke up to a stranger falling through the ceiling of their apartment.
Oh, hell no.
Fox 26 that the man was coming from the attic above their unit on FM 1960 in Kirkendall. Fox 26's Karis Belger spoke with the tenant and has that story.
A loud bang around 4 this morning woke Desiree Malone and her daughter.
Around 12 hours prior, Desiree Malone's home looked completely different. The ceiling above me had a hole, and she says a man fell through it.
Malone says she and her daughter rushed to check on each other, first thinking one of them had fallen. Instead, she says they found a stranger dangling from the attic, trying not to drop all the way into their apartment.
And when I turned the light on, there was a man hanging from the attic, holding on to the beam so that he wouldn't fall all the way through to our apartment. And I screamed and yelled like, well, who are you? What are you doing? And he was absolutely out of his mind.
Malone says the man appeared disoriented and mumbled his words before pulling himself back into the attic. She says in the moments after, she and her daughter became separated as they tried to call for help.
Like, couldn't hardly, his words were mumbled and everything like that. So he was pulling himself back into the attic, and we heard him talking to somebody. My daughter ran to put on her clothes or whatever, and she was stuck upstairs while I was downstairs calling the police. So I really didn't have any weapons or anything.
Desiree and her neighbor next door say they heard weird noises above them for roughly 2 months. Neither suspected that something more was happening.
Malone says it's still unclear how the man got into the attic, and she says after everything that happened, she wants accountability from the property and answers about how this happened. 26 reached out to property management, calling twice and submitting a message through the company's website contact form. We're still waiting to hear back.
I just want some kind of help from this apartment.
Now she tells me she wants to move out for her and her daughter's safety.
Yeah.
For Fox 26
I would not
News,
want to
I'm
live there.
Kara
You
Spelker.
crazy? I'm getting the fuck out. Someone bust through my roof like that. Hell no. Let's keep it moving.
First at 5, a 19-year-old man convicted of kidnapping and raping multiple women with the aid of social media and dating apps was sentenced to prison.
Fox 12's McKenna Marks was in the courtroom and joins us live after speaking with the prosecutor on this case. McKenna, what did she tell you?
Yeah, Pete, Nora, well, Damani Anderson was sentenced to 45 years in prison today. Handed out his sentence. The court also heard from multiple victims. And like you said, I was able to speak to the prosecutor on this case, and she tells me if it wasn't for the bravery of these victims, Anderson likely wouldn't have received such a lengthy sentence.
You're going to prison for a very long time.
Over a year and a half after he was arrested on rape and kidnapping charges, 19-year-old Damani Anderson was sentenced to 45 years in prison. Anderson was arrested in August of 2024, and the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office says multiple adult and juvenile women, including a 13-year-old, came forward.
We shouldn't let ourselves get too far removed from the fact that these are real things that happen to real people. And this case begs for that reminder that very real, very terrifying things happen to very young people at the hands of Damani Anderson.
Police say Anderson would find his victims on social media or dating apps and convince them to meet him in a secluded area. Then police say Anderson would hold his victims at gunpoint before assaulting them.
I am so sorry this happened to you.
Prosecutor Robin Skarstad says it's because of the victims that came forward that the Portland community is now a little safer.
Because this was an individual who was on a path of reoffending. To my assessment, his attacks were getting more violent, and the fact that they were willing to come forward, great personal cost to themselves to keep the rest of the community safe is really meaningful.
For everybody.
Anderson was facing more than 40 charges connected to 5 different rape cases. Last week, he pleaded guilty to 12 charges.
As to count 1 then, in case number 24 CR 41664, which charges you with the crime of rape in the first degree with a firearm, how do you wish to plead? Guilty. As to count 4 then, in the same case, which charges you with the crime of kidnapping in the first degree with a firearm, how do you wish to plead? Guilty.
In court on Thursday, many of Anderson's victims shared their impact statements with the judge, detailing how their lives have changed since they were attacked, including one of the victims' mothers.
This is not something that
A lot of people are
heals.
dying because it's cold.
It
It's
is not
really
something
cold
that
outside.
fades with time. This damage and the discomfort she will always feel will move into every relationship we will ever have.
And Skarstad says it's thanks to the victims who came forward that justice was served.
These victims who came today to send that message about this is what coming forward looks like, that you can get justice, if not relief, is a message that I hope will encourage others to do that and continue to make our environment safer.
Anderson was also required to register as a sex offender and also received a sentence of 20 years of post-prison supervision. Reporting live from downtown Portland, McKenna Marks, Fox 12 Oregon.
You guys crazy in Oregon. Keep it moving.
Was found dead at a shuttered school in Baton Rouge.
2 weeks ago, the school system suspended Quentin Dixon over allegations he sent inappropriate messages to a minor. News's Haley Jefferson explains what we know about the investigation so far.
Michael Sylvia, on January 15th, we reported that 44-year-old Quentin Dixon was placed on administrative leave by the East Baton Rouge school system. Today, he was found dead. Wednesday morning, Baton Rouge police found the body of Westdale counselor Quentin Dixon on the former Glen Oaks Middle School campus. Police have not confirmed where on the campus Dixon was found. The building is currently not being used by the East Baton Rouge School District. Dixon's body was found the same day an arrest warrant was filed against him. According to the warrant, beginning in November of last year up until early this month, Dixon allegedly sent several messages to a 14-year-old through Instagram. The warrant goes on to claim that Dixon responded hard eyes to a picture posted by the victim, along with repeatedly offering to give the victim rides home after school. Court documents say Dixon faced 4 counts of indecent behavior with the juvenile.
It's tragic all the way around. It's something that you can't really explain about.
A spokesman Person for the East Baton Rouge school system sent a statement to WBRZ in response to his death, saying, quote, "Today, the East Baton Rouge Parish School System was notified of the passing of an employee. We extend our condolences to the school community, family, and loved ones as they process this information during this difficult time." Riddell Norman says he attended Glen Oaks and coached football with Dixon.
It's unfortunate the circumstances of his untimely demise, but yes, I did know him, and the situation is just so
he communicated with a minor, he got caught, and then he committed
We
suicide.
reached out to the East Baton Rouge coroner's office, who says Dixon's cause of death remains under investigation.
Yeah.
Michael, Sylvia.
He offed himself. Coward. Keep moving forward.
Thank you so much. And Groton police made a daring rescue this week. They actually pulled someone from icy waters. It's a good reminder of just how dangerous the water can be when it's this cold outside. Luke Hydash covers New London County for you, and he's your reporter live in Norwich with an inside look at the Norwich dive team. Luke.
Well, Kara, this here is Mohegan Park. The pond back there, all iced over and snow covered, but it's where the Norwich dive team does some of its training when they are getting things ready to make these daring rescues when it comes to real life situations. And the work is very important, especially when it's this cold out. The Norwich dive team uses this truck to house all sorts of unique gear, ready to respond at a moment's notice. It's gear other departments wouldn't have, things like an underwater drone, underwater sonar called an Aqua Eye, and specialized dive equipment. The team has been out in icy conditions with a few calls recently during this bitter cold snap, reminding people to stay off the ice.
A person only has minutes in the water.
That's
So
why the
if
people
somebody
that
doesn't see them or
were
if somebody
in
does see them
Boston
and they really need
with
to
that boat
contact
capsizing,
911 to get services
those
en route.
people, they're dead.
Yes, he has.
It don't take long when you jump in, when you get wet,
Spicer's Marina
you
in
end up
Noank. He was
falling for
pulled to safety
hypothermia
and treated.
and frostbite, and
And the Norwich dive team
instantly it
is
could kill you.
region-wide. They go all
Water,
over. They
water
weren't
is
called
very
to this
dangerous,
specific call down at the
especially
marina in
very
Noank.
cold
That was
water.
strictly Groton police officers who made that rescue. We speak to one of them coming
You know,
up in our
you
news
have
at 6
less than a
o'clock.
minute
Reporter live in Norwich, Luke
for
Hydash,
cold
Channel
water.
3 Eyewitness News.
Luke, thanks. And if you haven't been
Especially freezing water. Let's keep it moving. We got the last two videos of the night. Tyson De La Cruz. Let's go.
FBI agents are going through materials found today during a search of the Fulton County, Georgia election office.
America, the FBI just executed a sealed
Yeah, it's the hypothermia. Yep, for sure.
Elections office.
For
Fulton
sure.
County
it's
made a
very-
stunning admission about the 2020 election after almost
Like,
5 years of assuring
instant.
voters all procedures
Like,
were
those-
followed. It
those-
turns
those,
out that may not be
things
entirely
that are
true.
missing
Fulton County made a
from that
stunning
boat
admission
in
that
Boston,
they verified
Gloucester, I believe,
315,000
from,
votes in the
Massachusetts.
2020 election without
Like,
poll
they found
worker
one
signatures.
person already
And
dead.
now the FBI
The other
shows
two,
up with the sealed
they're gonna
warrant.
find
President
them
Donald
dead
Trump
too.
is now seeking more than
It's
$6
just
million
current
from the
takes
Fulton
the
County
body,
District
you know.
Attorney's office. The president
they
said
have
the
to
money
search
would
for
be
them.
used to cover his attorney fees and litigation costs
That's
in the
so sad,
recently
man.
dismissed criminal election interference
You know,
case.
it's
This
just
is what accountability looks like.
timely and horrible news. We're just watching Tyson De La Cruz.
What is up, guys? Tyson De La Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Let me break down exactly what's happening at the Fulton County election office.
The FBI is executing a search warrant at a Fulton County election office in Georgia. Fox News is told it is related to the 2020 election.
A law enforcement official confirmed to Fox News that this is obviously related to the 2020 election. The probe involves the 2020 election, which Donald Trump lost to Joey Biden.
And they are in there collecting 700 boxes of ballots right now. We are obviously concerned about once the ballots leave here, what will happen to the ballots, and our lawyers are going to be working on that.
The FBI told reporters that they'll remain at the facility all day until the warrant is completed because this is a very large building and they're not sure what's inside the building or what materials they're actually looking for or where they're located.
Agents, as I mentioned, were seen entering into this office, which is a new facility that state officials opened in 2023 that was designed to streamline their election processes.
But the FBI isn't interested in the new processes. They're interested in what happened in 2020.
Any details about the search. The warrant cites possible violations of federal laws protecting election records and against procuring fraudulent votes. Democratic Georgia State Senator Josh McLaurin posted this video from inside the facility, raising alarms about what he says is a politically motivated operation.
I hope people realize how dangerous this is, that the President of the United States is ordering federal agencies
to pursue his conspiracy theories. Now let's talk about the stunning admission Fulton County just made a few weeks ago, because this is exactly why the FBI is there today.
Fulton County essentially admitted that there were unsigned tabulator tapes. Those are those pieces of paper akin to receipts that come out of the voting tabulation machines.
Fulton County admitted that there were unsigned tabulator tapes, those pieces of paper that come out of the voting machines that helped verify how many people voted and ensure it matches the number of votes cast. State law says they must be signed by a poll worker for verification. Some 150 tapes tracking the votes of 315,000 people during early voting in 2020 weren't signed.
At best, this is sloppy and it's lazy.
At worst, it could be egregious and could have affected the election. And it gets worse. Some of those ticker tapes and documents tied to the 2020 election are missing. The revelation made waves nationally when Elon Musk posted about it. Georgia's Secretary of State assured it wouldn't have altered the results because the election was audited and verified several times. But a clerical error of one tape is different than 141 tapes missing and or unsigned. While the FBI is raiding the elections office, Fannie Fupa Willis is facing a financial reckoning that could bankrupt her office. Fannie Fupa Willis. Let's go, Fannie Fupa.
President Donald Trump is now seeking more than $6 million from the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. In a motion filed today in Fulton County Superior Court, the president said the money would be used to cover his attorney fees and litigation costs in the recently dismissed criminal election interference case.
President Trump is seeking more than $6 million from Fulton County DA office. He says he's entitled to compensation under a new Georgia law, which allows criminal defendants to recover expenses when prosecutors are dismissed for misconduct.
Tonight, we are hearing for the first time from Fulton County DA Fannie Willis. She's responding to questions about a possible $17 million cost tied to the 2020 election case against President Trump and his allies.
But it's not just Trump. All of his co-defendants are seeking reimbursement as well, bringing the total to nearly $17 million. That's half of Fannie Willis's annual budget.
They want the DA's office to pay them back, citing a new state law after spending millions of dollars on a case that's now dismissed.
Defense attorneys want the DA's office to pay back under the new state law after spending millions and millions of dollars in a case that is now dismissed. Fannie Willis was disqualified from the case because of her romantic relationship with special prosecutor Nathan Hot Dog Wade. There are three main hurdles that Trump and his co-defendants face in trying to get the $17 million: standing, statutory interpretation, and constitutional issues.
The law is unconstitutional, and I think that will bear out in a court of law.
The Fulton County judge will decide if the case qualifies under the new law and how much, if anything, should be paid. The first hurdle is standing. Does Fannie Fupa Willis, having been removed from this particular case, have legal right to challenge the $17 million in legal fees if she's no longer a prosecutor? Can she even fight this? Second hurdle is statutory interpretation. Does the appearance of impropriety, the reason Willis was removed, meet the law's requirements of quote-unquote misconduct for legal fee reimbursement? The law specifically says prosecutors must be dismissed for misconduct, not just the appearance of impropriety. The third hurdle is the constitutional issue. Willis might argue something called prosecutorial immunity or separation of power, but if misconduct is proven, this challenge is less likely to succeed. Here is what likely will happen. Legal experts believe that the fees will not likely be returned in full because Willis was removed for appearance of impropriety, not actual misconduct. They're suggesting a negotiated settlement to avoid prolonged litigation.
So far, there's been no ruling, but we're going to let you know if anything changes.
The question then becomes, who pays? Does it come from Fulton County taxpayers? Does it come from Willis's office budget? Does it come from the state?
Representatives at this particular office referred queries to the county's external affairs office.
They're in full damage control mode because obviously this looks really bad.
Trump administration officials are explaining why Tulsi Gabbard was in Georgia during the FBI search of an election office there yesterday. This is a picture of Gabbard as agents served a search warrant at the Fulton County election office looking for 2020 ballots. Gabbard is the director of national intelligence. Officials say election security is part of her role. Meantime, the chairman of Fulton County says he has nothing to hide.
Fulton County is now, has been, and always will be committed to upholding the law.
Let's connect the dots here because this is a pattern of corruption and incompetence in Fulton County that goes way, way beyond Fonnie Fupa Willis.
A clerical error could be one tabulator tape not signed or one tabulator tape missing, not 148 tabulator tapes missing.
This is not a mistake. This is a systematic failure. And just last Friday, a judge ruled that Fulton County has to turn over images of ballots from 2020. It was something that they've been fighting with the state election board for well over a year. Why would they fight so hard to hide those ballot images if everything was legitimate?
I think all of us are looking forward to seeing what the FBI raid shows. Georgia's been waiting for a long time to answer questions about election security and fairness, and the only way to get those answers is through a transparent process.
Now we find out 315,000 votes weren't properly verified. 141 tapes are missing or unsigned, and the FBI is executing a sealed warrant at an elections office.
It says they're looking for all records relating to violations of certain sections of the U.S. Code, including all physical ballots from the 2020 general election, all tabulator tapes for every voting machine used in Fulton County, all ballot images produced during the original ballot count beginning on November 3rd of 2020, and all voter rolls from the 2020 general election in Fulton County.
America, the FBI just raided Fulton County's election office with a sealed warrant related to the 2020 election. This comes weeks after Fulton County admitted they verified 315,000 votes without proper signatures and 148 tabulator tapes are missing. Meanwhile, Fannie Fupa Willis faces a $17 million legal bill from Trump and his co-defendants. She was disqualified from the case for an appearance of impropriety after her relationship with Nathan Hot Dog Wade was exposed. The pattern here is clear: systematic failure in Fulton County's elections operations, missing documents, unsigned verification tapes, and a DA who weaponized her office for political prosecution while conducting an improper relationship with her special prosecutor. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
Right, this one is the last one of the night. Tyson De La Cruz.
We've had to redraw our plans like 5 times. 5 to 7 times. I don't even know exactly the number.
America, while Gavin Newsom tweets about how fast California is issuing permits, there is a woman who's about to move into an RV parked on her burnt lot because California's bureaucratic nightmare has forced her to redraw her plans 7 times.
Ada, her husband, and their 2 children are now moving into this RV, parked on what's left of their property, while the bills keep coming.
Trump just signed an executive order seizing control of the rebuilding process from California. And Gavin Newsom's response?
The feds need to release funding, not take over local permit approval speed. The main obstacle is communities not having the money to rebuild.
So let me get this straight. You had over a year to fix this mess. 7 out of 10 survivors are still displaced. And now you're mad that Trump is cutting through your red tape. What is up, guys? Tyson De La Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Let me show you exactly how California turned a natural disaster that they could have avoided into a bureaucratic hostage situation. Here's what Trump's executive order actually does, because the media is spinning this like some kind of dictatorship like they always do. The order directs FEMA and the Small Business Administration to bypass California's state and local permitting requirements. That means if California says you need to wait 6 months for an environmental review, FEMA can say approved and construction can start tomorrow.
According to the Trump administration, less than 15% of all homes destroyed by the fires have received construction permits. Trump blames local leadership in California for the process.
Less than 15% of the destroyed homes have received permits after over 1 year. That, my friends, is not a backlog. That is a system designed to fail, and we know why. And Trump's not guessing about who's responsible. He specifically named Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass.
President Trump has taken steps to fast-track rebuilding efforts. The president signed an executive order bypassing local and state regulators in California.
But here's the genius part of this particular order. It also includes an audit of the $3 billion in hazard migration grants California already received. You know, the money that they were supposed to use to prevent these particular fires in the first place. Trump wants to know where that money went because it clearly, obviously didn't go to clearing bush or maintaining water infrastructure.
State and local officials say Trump has been the biggest obstacle to rebuilding, blocking a nearly $34 billion disaster relief request from reaching Congress, essentially choking off rebuilding funds.
So Trump isn't just fixing the permitting problem. He's investigating the corruption that has caused this disaster in the first place. And that's why Newsom is panicking. Now, let me tell you about the people California's bureaucracy is actually hurting, because this isn't about statistics. It's about families living in limbo for over a year.
7 out of 10 Eaton and Palisades fire survivors are still displaced. We are right now on the cusp of a major homelessness crisis.
7 out of 10 survivors are still displaced. That means they're in Airbnbs, hotels, motels, whatever the situation is, like Ada about to move into an RV on her own property because she can't afford renting anymore while paying a mortgage that is literally, the house is in ashes. It's not even in existence.
Ada Hernandez is packing up the Pasadena Airbnb she's been living in with her family for months.
I've been moving for the last 5 days.
It's not because their home in Altadena is ready. It's because she's out of options.
Think about that for a second. You lose your home in a fire. You're paying a mortgage on basically nothing. You're paying rent somewhere else. And California keeps telling you, you got to redraw the plans because some bureaucrat decided your roof pitch didn't meet the new environmental standards that they just invented.
Those blazes destroyed about 16,000 structures.
And here's what makes this even more infuriating. The survivor advocates are saying the real problem isn't permits. It's the people. The people don't have money to rebuild because California and the insurance companies are playing a bunch of games.
And people who are going homeless are not rebuilding. We need help on the money front.
So you've got families who can't afford to rebuild, stuck in the permitting process that takes 94 days minimum. And California's solution is to fight Trump's order to speed things up. That makes a lot of sense. Instead of saying, thank you, Mr. Trump, for helping us and helping speed things up, Newsom went on X and basically told Trump to go to hell.
Governor Gavin Newsom this morning tweeting, with 1,625 plus home permits issued, hundreds of homes under construction, and permitting timelines at least 2 times faster than before the fires, an executive order to rebuild Mars would do just as useful.
That's Newsom's response to Trump trying to help his constituents who are living in RVs and burned down lots. Not let's work together, not we appreciate the federal support, just sarcasm, deflection, and shoulder shimmies. But here's where Newsom's argument falls apart completely. He claims California has issued 1,625 home permits, and that permitting timelines are 2 times faster than they were before the fires. Great. So you're bragging about being twice as fast at a process that still leaves 85% of people without permits.
A spokesperson says the governor has issued 28 executive orders to support wildfire recovery and accelerate rebuilding efforts, moving at a pace nearly 3 times faster than when permits were issued during the 5 years before the Palisades and Eaton fires erupted.
And notice what Newsom's really asking for. He wants Trump to release federal disaster funding without federal oversight of how California actually uses it. He wants the money. He wants the moolah, but he doesn't want anybody to check if California is actually using it to help people or funneling it into the same corrupt system that failed to prevent the fires or stop homelessness in the first place. That's not how it works. News meant catastrophic fires, trapped survivors in bureaucrat hell for over a year, then demand more money with zero accountability. Now, here's the part that exposes this entire scam. California leaders are claiming Trump is withholding federal disaster money aid and that he's the obstacle to rebuilding. But let's look at what actually happened here.
State and local officials say Trump has been the biggest obstacle to rebuilding, blocking a nearly $34 billion disaster relief request from reaching Congress, essentially choking off rebuilding funds.
They're saying Trump blocked $34 billion in disaster relief requests from reaching Congress. But here's what they're not telling you. Trump blocked the request. He's blocking California from getting a blank check without any accountability.
The consensus opinion is Congress is there. We have bipartisan support from all our Republican representatives in California. We continue to work with them and Democratic representatives. It's just moving the president of the United States. And that's difficult.
And notice that Newsom admits Congress is ready to approve the funding. There's bipartisan support from California's representatives. The only person standing in the way is Trump. Why? Because Trump wants to make sure that the money actually goes to rebuilding homes instead of disappearing into California's ether. That's not obstruction. That is stewardship of taxpayer dollars. And the fact that Newsom is fighting so hard tells you everything you need to know where the money was really going.
According to LA County, it takes about 94 days right now to issue a permit for a new home in the unincorporated areas of the county. It takes a few weeks longer in the Palisades, and local leaders say, and they point out, that this is much quicker than before the fires.
94 days to issue a permit. That is 3 months just to get permission to start rebuilding. And California is bragging about this like it's some kind of achievement because it used to take even longer before the fires. But here's the scam. That 94 days is just the initial permit where they can potentially request redrawing of plans. Every time California changes requirements, that clock resets. So you're not waiting 94 days. You're waiting 94 days times however many times that they decide to have you resubmit or change requirements. And while you're waiting, you're paying for a mortgage that's literally ash, paying for rent somewhere else, and watching your savings evaporate into a black hole because California can't figure out how to approve building permits in less than a quarter of a year.
There were signs, warning signs that were there for 4 to 5 days. You know, I'm not going to say that they were ignored, but they definitely didn't rise to the level of the appropriate actions needed for such an unprecedented wind event, which led to a cascading effect in the response and also now in the recovery.
And this isn't just incompetence. It is a system designed to benefit bureaucrats and contractors while homeowners obviously suffer. Every delay means more money for temporary housing costs, more fees, more architecture fees, more redrawing plan fees, essentially meaning more revenue for permitting departments and processing applications. The longer California can drag its feet and drag this out, the more money flows through the entire system. The people that are getting crushed are families like the one mentioned earlier in this video that just want to go home. America, Trump's executive order is not a power grab. It is a rescue operation for families California abandoned over a year ago. While Newsom tweets sarcastic jokes about rebuilding Mars, real people are moving into RVs on their burnt lots because they've run out of options. 7 out of 10 survivors are still displaced. Less than 15% have permits after over a year. Families are redrawing plans 7 times while paying mortgages for literally nothing. And California's response is to fight Trump trying to fix this, fight him in court, and demand money without accountability. This is the pattern. Democrat states create bureaucratic nightmares, trap citizens in impossible situations, then blame the federal government when somebody actually tries to help. Newsom had $3 billion to prevent these fires, and
the people who died in the Titanic, that's crazy.
He failed on
that
both
water was
counts.
super cold.
Trump's not withholding aid. He's demanding California prove that they won't waste money like they waste money on everything else. And if that means bypassing Newsom's permit scam to get families back into their homes, then that's exactly what needs to happen.
She was rushing. She probably went to the bathroom.
Drop it down in the comment section down
took
below.
her dress off
Smash the
and
like button if you kindly would.
put it back
Share,
in reverse.
subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you, Tyson. Got our throughs. Like, it's crazy times we're living in. Very, very crazy times. But I'm gonna get going because I gotta get some stuff taken care of. I gotta go grab something to eat because I just got hungry, and I gotta get going because I gotta also do the video. I'm gonna do a 3-part series shorts on the Ascending Heroes Pokemon. So we got 3 packs here that I'm gonna be opening tonight. It's going to be a part of a 3-part series. Hopefully we'll get a hit. Each video will be about 2 to 3 minutes long. And I'll throw in a little graphic effects at the end for oh Lord, here comes the out of focus. Let's bring me back in focus. Hopefully better. Could be better. Let's see. That's me. I guess I'm going to be having an out of focus moment. There we go. That means I got to get going. But I just want you guys to let you know that I am going to do a 3-part series on this beautiful opening of the new Send the Heroes that came out today. I actually picked that up at Walmart at 6:45 in the morning. And there were a lot of people there. There were a lot. But like I said, I know the cashiers, so they hooked it up. They were only supposed to give 1 per person. I got 3. And I got a set here. So the set I'm keeping, and this one I'm opening. I got 2 boxes of the 30-year, the celebration 30-year of Pokemon. It comes with 2, it comes with 3 packs also, of Mega Evolutions and a Phantasm Flames, 2 packs of Phantasm Flames. It comes like with a coin, the 2026 celebration of the 30-year anniversary, and some other stuff it comes in with it. I believe stickers, if I'm not mistaken. But other than that, I'm out of here. Thank you all for watching. Truly appreciate it. I'm possibly going to take the weekend off. I don't know, because like the 1st is on a Sunday, full moon. Something big could happen, especially before the Super Bowl. That could maybe something military could happen. We'll find out, and if it does happen, I'll be here to show it to you guys. So other than that, have a good morning, good afternoon, and a good night, and I'll catch you all on the flip side. And have a great weekend, and keep a lookout for my shorts. And that's it. I'm out. See y'all later. Peace.